new age is upon us, and yet the past refuses to rest in its shallow grave. For those who hide behind the false image of the Son of Man shall stand before God, 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 God. It has begun, the beginning of the end. Yeah. Voice of racism, preaching the gospel is devilish. A fake church called the Prophet Muhammad a terrorist. Forgetting God is not religion, but a spiritual bond. And Jesus is the most quoted prophet in the Quran. They bombed innocent people, trying to murder Saddam. When you gave them those chemical weapons to go to war with Iran. This is the information that they hold back from Peter Jennings. Cause Condoleezza Rice is just a new age Sally Hemings. I break it down with critical language and spiritual anguish. The Judas I hang with, the guilt of betraying Christ, who murdered and stole his religion and painted him white, translated in psychologically tainted philosophy, conservative political right-wing ideology, glued together sloppily the blasphemy of a nation. Got my back to the wall cause I'm facing assassination, Guantanamo Bay, federal incarceration. How could this be? The land of the free, home of the brave, indigenous Holocaust, and the home of the slaves. Corporate America dancing offbeat to the rhythm. You really think this country never sponsored terrorism? Human rights violations, we continue the saga. El Salvador and the Contras in Nicaragua. And on top of that, still want to take me to prison just cause I won't trade humanity for patriotism. It's like MK Ultra controlling your brain, suggestive thinking, causing your perspective to change. They want to rearrange the whole point of view of the ghetto. The fourth branch of the government want us to settle. A bandana full of glittering generality, fighting for freedom and fighting terror. But what's reality? Read about the history of the place that we live in, and stop letting corporate news tell lies to your children. Flow like the blood of Abraham through the Jews and the Arabs, broken apart like a woman's heart, abused in a marriage, the brink of holy war, bottled up like a miscarriage. Embedded correspondence don't tell the source of the tension, and they refuse to even mention European intervention or the massacres in Jenin. The innocent screams, US manufactured missiles and M16s, weapon contracts and corrupted American dreams. Media censorship blocking out the video screens. A continent of oil kingdoms bought for a bargain. Democracy is just a word when the people are starving. The average citizen made to be blind to the reason. A desert full of genocide where the bodies are freezing, and the world doesn't believe that you're fighting for freedom cause you fucked the Middle East and gave birth to a demon. It's open season with the CIA bugging my crib, trapped in the ghetto region like a Palestinian kid, where nobody gives a fuck whether you die or you live. I'm trying to give the truth and I know the price is my life, but when I'm gone they'll sing a song about immortal technique, who beheaded the president and the princes and sheiks. You don't give a fuck about us. I can see through your facade like a fallen angel standing in the presence of God. Bitch niggas scared of the truth when it looks at you hard. It's like MK Ultra controlling your brain, suggestive thinking causing your perspective to change. They want to rearrange the whole point of view in the ghetto. The fourth branch of the government want us to settle. A bandana full of glittering generality, fighting for freedom and fighting terror. But what's reality? Martial law is coming soon to the hood to kill yo while you hanging your flag out your project window. Yeah. The fourth branch of the government, aka the media, seems to now have a retirement plan for ex-military officials, as if their opinion was at all unbiased. A machine shouldn't speak for men, so shut the fuck up, you mindless drone. And you know it's serious when these same media outfits are spending millions of dollars on a PR campaign to try to convince you they're fair and balanced, when they're some of the most ignorant and racist people giving that type of mentality a safe haven. We act like we share in the spoils of war that they do. We die in wars, we don't get the contracts to make money off them afterwards. We don't get weapons contracts, nigga. We don't get cheap labor for our companies, nigga. We are cheap labor, nigga. Turn off the news and read, nigga. Read. technique. Revolutionary Volume 2. Yeah. Broadcasting live from Harlem, New York. Let the truth be known. You better watch what the fuck flies out of your mouth, or I'ma hijack a plane and fly it into your house. Burn your apartment with your family, tied to the couch and slit your throat, so when you scream, only blood comes out. I doubt that there could ever be a more wicked MC, cause AIDS-infested child molesters are even sicker than me. I see the world for what it is, beyond the white and the black. The way the government downplays historical facts, cause the United States sponsored the rise of the Third Reich, just like the CIA trained terrorists how to fight, build bombs and sneak box cutters onto a flight. When I was a child, the devil himself bought me a mic, but I refused the offer, cause God sent me to strike with skills unused like fallopian tubes on a dike.
Hello, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. Alright, if the CRAM is going burr over Herbal, all hell is broken loose. We're attacking Iran. The attack started 44 minutes ago, and Mr. President said, well, it was like through 4 different news sources, like CBS, through Reuters, through Axios, who the hell knows. He said he's going to open the gates of hell. Then somebody else retracted that report because it came through Israeli Channel 14, which is notoriously unreliable. The point is, they killed their soldiers overnight. How many of them? I've heard 2. I've heard that there's a transport C-130 going to Ramstein with 3 to 5 soldiers on it who are not going to make it to Germany. But that is not confirmed by me. And I don't, first of all, if I had sources that told me that, I wouldn't tell you that. Second of all, that is coming from someone who chose to report it, that I think is a journalist in a military college. So take that report for what you will. But as of now, it is 2. Kill 1 American soldier with a ballistic missile, and you're going to get a response. Kill 2 or more, you're going to have the gates of hell opened on you. And I don't care how I'm sorry, my name's Grant Smith Ellis. Welcome to Towel News at 6:45 p.m. on Saturday, July 18, 2026. I don't have time for niceties right now. It's 12:45 a.m. in South Africa, 1:45 a.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 2:15 a.m. in Tehran, Iran. America started a wave of retaliatory strikes at 6 p.m. 45 minutes ago Eastern War Time, as a result of the Iranians killing multiple U.S. troops in Jordan with hypersonic missiles. And I'm going to show you footage of some of the strikes. I'm going to show you footage of a strike on a special operations base in Syria that you're not going to believe exists. I don't know how our soldier lived. Some of them did not. Anyway, this is right now in Herbal. The CRAM is going burr. Hello, so good to see you all in the chat. I have time for niceties with you anytime. Here's the CRAM going burr. I repeat, somebody tell Silent Dogs the CRAM is going burr. Okay? It's very famous. That's a CRAM. It's a counter-rocket artillery mortar gun. It fires very, very fast. Have you ever wanted to be on the ground in Erbil, Iraq, in the north at 1 in the morning watching a CRAM? Well, now you've got to live that experience. Francine, it's so good to see you, my friend. Pete Bunny Towel is here to see you. Now I'm going to show you more footage of the CRAM over Herbal just a few minutes ago. Okay, oh, there it is. It's not a CRAM, it's a hit, actually, off camera down to the left. So, Herbal is under, the American consulate in Herbal is under intense Iranian bombardment. The CRAMs are effective for what they do. Oh, this is quite a CRAM. Oh, look at that CRAM. That's a CRAM. Kind of looks like an elephant trunk. That's a hell of a... I mean, I've seen some CRAMs fire. Look at how many CRAM bullets they just ripped off. That thing fires an absurd amount of rounds per minute. And that CRAM line is like a mile in the air. Oh my god. What are they doing? I'm not sure if you understand how many rounds of CRAM fire that is. That is no less than 1 mile in the air of continuous bullet fire. They're actually closer to like mortar shells. They're counter rocket artillery and mortar fire. But that's a lot of CRAM fire. I mean, I've never seen that much at once. I mean, people who see military footage will agree with me. You might see in your life a couple CRAM footages that you actually hear it fire, but to see one that tall, I've never seen it. I don't even know why you'd fire that much at once. What are you possibly trying to hit? Like 50 drones? I don't know what to tell you about that one. But we don't have time because the attacks on Iran are starting. So I just have to take you through what's going on in Erbil. Okay, then I have to take you through this just astounding footage of what caused the American attack to really ramp up, which was the death of American soldiers in Jordan. I'm going to show you some footage that if I did end in Syria, if I did not verify this, I would not believe this is real. This is from the Al Tanf Special Forces base in Jordan. This is very loud. I can't believe this soldier lived. This is from yesterday. During the attack in Syria and Jordan, it's actually the Syria-Jordan border, that killed multiple U.S. troops. This is very loud. I don't know how this soldier lived. I do not know how they lived. Please do not stand outside and film Iranian hypersonic ballistic missiles. Please don't. I know this sounds like common sense, but please don't. This is exactly what I was worried about with the other guy filming in the base in Kuwait. I was like, or Jordan. I was like, bro, stop filming in an open area while hypersonic missiles are falling, because what if the next one hits you? Please, don't do this. That person barely lived. They are very lucky to be alive, and they probably suffered a head injury, if they're lucky. It sounded like a woman. I can't tell. It was too much chaos. Please, listen. If for whatever reason you have family who's over there deployed, if you are listening for some reason, don't stand in open areas and film Iranian hypersonic ballistic missiles landing around you. Please don't. Before this gets worse, just please don't do that. I know it's an instinct because it's, not something you see every day. Just don't. Don't. Please don't. Oh my God. Even when we give the troops shelter, I understand. It's very, very interesting, but please don't film it. Please don't film it. You can film it after. Once all the missiles are gone, you can go film the damage, okay? But please don't film it while it's landing. It's very dangerous for obvious reasons. Now I'm going to show you all of a minute and 45 seconds of footage captured at the Mufak Salti Air Base. This is where 2 of the troops died, I believe. It's going to get very brutal tonight. It's going to get very bad. I expect there to be massive strikes. I mean, unlike anything we've seen, because of what Iran did in the footage you're watching right now. This was at the U.S. base at Jordan yesterday, July 17th. Those are Patriot interceptors going up. They're trying to stop the hypersonics. You're going to see the hypersonics come through with a trail. The difference between interceptor and a hypersonic. Look at the hypersonics shredding the interceptors. That was a hypersonic impact. That was a Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Stop standing outside and filming this stuff. Oh, This is why our troops are dying. Bro, it's telling you to brace. Stop standing outside. I'm gonna get so mad. Stop standing outside. You just heard brace. Go inside. Oh my God. This is horrifying to watch. Why are you standing outside? Have you just given up? Oh my God, that's from a U.S. Air Force base. Or, that's a U.S. Air Force base. Oh my God. Oh, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to show you it again. This is what... How are these troops just standing outside while ballistic missiles are falling around them? And it's not just one video. I just showed you 2 different bases where soldiers were just standing there outside filming the ballistic missiles. All right, so we did get one of them. This is a successful intercept. Watch. This is a good intercept. Right here. Stop, hold. Right here. That's a good intercept of an Iranian hypersonic. Did you see it? That was an intercept. That was a good intercept right there. What happens next is not good. So we got the slow missile they sent out as a decoy. And then when the actual hypersonics came through, they just shredded our Patriots.
Brace for impact. Brace for impact. Brace for impact.
Good morning. Hello, RHM. Yes, if you didn't hear the news, I'm going to be a guest interviewed by Melanie Little, attorney Melanie Little, tomorrow. Check out her YouTube channel. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to cut my coverage off tonight at like 10 p.m. Eastern, maybe 11, unless all hell is broken loose. So I can wake up and do that interview. Should be at noon. I imagine that's enough time for me to get up. But we don't have time for me to keep looking at that footage. I do want to tell you about the attorney Melanie Little interview. So let me just play this quick preview clip, because shout out attorney Melanie Little, and make sure to watch Tal's interview
9 a.m.
tomorrow.
come Monday. We will have the mega motion. It's going to be argued in front of Judge Belazos in the Commonwealth versus Aiden Carney case. I believe Mr. Betterow will be in town. Each side only has 30 minutes for arguments. It's going to be interesting. Something else very interesting is I received correspondence today from one Grant Smith Ellis, who said, would you be interested in doing a stream tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, about Aiden's Mega Motion, my channel or yours? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Don't know what time that's going to happen, but did you ever thought you would see the day? It might be the collab that you never thought you needed. Me and Grant Smith Ellis. Once arch enemies, and now he's seen the light. And he's come over, and I can't wait to find out, like, how he was duped. Who duped him? Did they tell him to come for me? Because
No, Silent Dogs. This is an attorney. She is named Attorney Melanie Little. She has a YouTube channel. You should check her out. She covers a lot of criminal and civil cases in the United States. It's an honor for me to be able to do an interview with her. I'm going to talk with her tomorrow about some of the police corruption. You've heard, Silent Dogs. Whenever I rant about the police corruption in Massachusetts, like, she covers a lot of that stuff. She speaks my language, so we'll be able to talk about a lot of that. And what's interesting is, her and I used to be on opposite sides of this really big case. The world doesn't need to know about it. I mean, some people in other countries know about it. on the whole, like, the people in Iraq probably don't need to know, but, you know, if they want to, that's cool. But my point is, like, that case had very interesting dynamics. Somebody was trying to convince a lot of people that they were attorney Melanie Little in order to frame her, in order to, like, run ops. It's this very weird, like, convoluted private intel world, and, like, criminal defendants and prosecutors and corrupt cops and brothels and all this crazy stuff. It's wild. But it centers around this Monday, 9 a.m., July 20th, 2026, hearing down at Suffolk Superior Court related to this journalist, Aidan Turtleboy Carney, who was looking into some of this corruption, police corruption, going way back to, like, the Tiffany Overstreet case in 2014. He started looking into it in the fall of 2022. Really crescendoed with the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case, but it kind of spiraled. The Sandra Birchmore case and the Matt Farwell case, and now the Turtleboy case itself. What exactly is going to go down? I don't know. But just know it involves Discord servers. So, you know, whenever you get like a 70-year-old prosecutor and a FOIA request that involves Discord servers, bro, most like 40-year-olds don't know what Discord is. What the hell is a 70-year-old DA, a district attorney, doing on a Discord or with any Discord links in his email? Oh my God, God bless the United States of America. We got 70-year-old district attorneys using Discord. Here's another image of the strike. But anyway, that's tomorrow. Back to tonight. Shout out to Attorney Melanie Little. Hello, Superstition Man. I think it's going to be afternoon, Tiffany Bob. Let me just make sure. I think it's going to be probably like noon or a little bit after. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. That is an image from inside the U.S. base in Jordan last night that was hit by the Iranian strikes and has caused everything to absolutely just go wild tonight. The strikes are happening right now. Valhalla, the dear venerated reporter Tal Valhalla, is keeping us up to date in the chat with each subsequent development. My initial response is that it's going to be a night of hell because multiple U.S. troops are dead. Oh, Madeline, thank you so much. Madeline says, I'm so excited to see your interview with Melanie, and your coverage is amazing. God bless you, Grant. You're doing amazing work. Well, God bless you, Madeline. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you so much for your support. You are so kind, and I am so grateful, and I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you for your support of Tal Channel, and thank you for being a cupcake. Got my, I went to Cancun with Attorney Melanie Little hat on, so how apropos. And thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. Hello, Kevin from South Boston. It's good to see you. How are you doing? Have you fled to any European countries yet? Are you wearing a fake mustache? I have some bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier today, the Kuwait cam from Intel Cams was taken down. All right? If you missed the moment, so this was our Kuwait cam. That man, right there, see that man? He came and he took the camera. We think it's the... Well, it's probably not the Kuwaiti authorities. I don't really know what caused it to happen. You know, I'm gonna guess it was the Kuwaiti authorities. They spent like a long time like shining lights at the camera to find it. And you're gonna see him hold up like a piece of paper in front of the cam when he takes it down. Excellent job, Kevin from South Boston. Fighter jets and explosions over Erbil, as I've been showing the CRAM footage. But yeah, so we lost the Kuwait cam. I'm going to show you the moments. Now, you can't actually see this footage because the Intel cams, like, actually, they might have the replay up. I don't know if it's still on the replay, because it goes in like 8-hour chunks. However, earlier today, the Kuwait cam was attacked. We lost the Kuwait cam. It wasn't bombed. It's just some man walked up to the Kuwait cam. You're going to see it in like 2 minutes. Let me just jump forward to the moment he takes the cam. It's like at 22:47 or so. So this guy, all right, this man, he just comes up to the camera, the Kuwait cam, which is the one that we were using to track the sirens and the hits near the airport. Remember, we saw a big hit yesterday on that cam. So the government of Kuwait, I'm pretty sure, sent the police out and they found the camera. The guy just takes the camera. You're going to see, and he didn't have a mask on or anything. He wasn't trying to be surreptitious. He puts a piece of paper in front of it in like 10 seconds. And all it says is like FCCCC, and then it has like a QR code. I would not recommend scanning the QR code. All right, so you're watching the moment we lost the Kuwait cam earlier. And those are not lightning flashes, by the way. That's a guy shining a flashlight. And then see him holding up the piece of paper? Only the government would do that. He, like, puts the piece of paper over, and then he pulls it away. As he pulls it away, it says, like, FCCCC. And then there's a QR code. He's holding the paper in front of the camera. He pulls it away. And then he takes the camera off. It can't be showing our footage. And then the camera just goes down. Hold on one second. It's being all annoying. Yeah, alright, hold on. It hasn't gone down yet. It's going to go down in like 1 second. So he takes the camera. Alright, what time is it? Yeah, so now he's like messing with it. He's holding it. Alright, now it's like in his hand. He's behind. I don't know where he found this thing. It was like on the top of somebody's roof. It took them a long time to get this thing. They had to climb up. They were like waving at us. I was saying hello to the government of Kuwait in the chat. It was great. I said I sent my best wishes to the king. I was like, I hope he's well. You did, Interpretal. Listen, Interpretal, you just watched the moments we lost the Kuwait cam on the Intel street, on the Intel cams earlier. I literally watched I think the government of Kuwait get the Kuwait cam. And this is the sign he held up. It says like F and then a C. And then when he pulls it away, it says like CC. And then when I got it better, when I like cleaned it up, there's like a, so it says FCCC. And then there's like a QR code on the back of an envelope. I have no idea why this man took the Kuwait cam, but he did. And I watched it happen. And then immediately after, Iran bombed Kuwait. So I don't know what to tell you. That was a while. That was while I was on lunch break. So I watched that happen. All right. Now let's get to the updates that are going on right now. All right. God bless you, Interpretel. I'm praying this does not extend towards Lebanon. I'm going to show you now the before tonight's strikes, what it looks like in Bandar Abbas, Khuzestan, and Shiraz, what it looked like before the strikes started.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Saat
on the ground.
23 shab hast.
Right now, the internet and phone is out.
روز از تیر ماه 1405 آخرین وضعیت پل هدف قرار گرفته شده در حمله ددمنشانه رژیم آمریکا هست در منطقه نیمه‌کار و پل معروف سیاه‌کش. جاده دسترسی که ایجاد شده مشاهده می‌فرمایید در سمت چپ بنده هست که محل عبور موقت خودروهایی هست که از مسیر لار شیراز لار کهورستان بندر عباس هست و
I'm so sorry to hear that.
این هم خودروی هست که مربوط به همشهریان عزیزمون هست از روستای نیمه‌کار که مورد هدف قرار گرفته.
So you're seeing the route from Bandar Abbas to Shiran. I'll tell you, southern Lebanon breaks my heart, my dear friend Interpretal, and I pray for your family and all of the people displaced and impacted by that conflict. The world almost forgot South Lebanon, and but for the Pope and Iran, I think it's possible South Lebanon might have been lost almost entirely, but for a few people, a few countries, and the Pope. South Lebanon's a very complicated. It's got 55 communities. 52 of them are Shia Muslim. 3 of them are Catholic Maronite. The only Christian order in the Eastern Church loyal to the Pope. It's very complicated. It has to do with Mount Carmel. They're like cloistered nuns. It's very fascinating. Anyway, the dynamics of southern Lebanon are interesting, and I pray for the people there every day. Here's, speaking of Kuwait, a strike in the Al Ahmadi area of Kuwait earlier today. Footage only released an hour ago. It was a very bad hit. You can see now why Kuwait took down all the cameras. Kuwait earlier today. Yes, Kiev is under massive attack. I need to take you to Kiev next. This is Kuwait. This was very hard footage to get. This is Kuwait earlier today. Now I need to take you to Kiev, where I don't even know how to explain the report I saw from Kiev. I'm going to just have it read out to you. Apparently, Vladimir Putin collapsed the metro station at Lukyanska. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lukianivska. This is now. Kiev has been hit. That's the Ukrainian capital. And one of the railway stations has collapsed. Oh, I never believed for 1 second, Silent Dogs, that interceptors were going to solve hypersonic ballistic missile threats. I never believed that. This is Kiev now. This is Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. This is only initial footage. And Ukraine, for their part, did launch an absolutely massive attack on Russian army supply depot warehouses earlier in the day. Now I'm going to take you to Duhok province in northern Iraq, where large fires have broken out following a drone attack. America is also striking Iran as we speak, but it's going to take a little time for a damage assessment depending on the scale of the American strikes in Iran. I'm hearing that the internet has gone down throughout the south of Iran, which is a very bad sign. But, you know, it's kind of a double negative thing. When the internet and cell phones go down, it's kind of hard to prove it. I have not heard of any shelling north of the south of Iran. So I haven't heard of any shelling as of the initial wave, the first American wave. Normally they go in 3 waves. Then they'll go till about 9:30 and they'll announce the end of the attacks. The first wave seems to have been the port cities. I did not hear of any attacks north of the Iranian port cities. But that is also only the first wave. That was the strikes ongoing in Erbil right now. Now I'm going to take you to, oh, I showed you this video already, but I think this is a longer clip of the direct strike by the Iranians in the north of Iraq just now. No sound on this one. Not sure if that's an intercept. There was definitely a strike to the bottom left, but I'm not really sure what those tails are. It might be a drone having been destroyed. It doesn't look like a missile. Pardon me. There is a lot going on right now, but I am Reporter Towel, and I'm ready to take you through this. We do have an interview with Professor Morandi I want to watch, but I don't have time for that. Right now, I want to take you through a few of the CRAM videos. If you're just tuning in, the CRAM is active in Erbil tonight. God bless you, Madeline. You're very kind. Hello, Standing Stones. That's true, Interpretal. The civilian internet being out does not mean that the government communication is out, absolutely. So here was the announcement. If you're just tuning in, this is what we're tracking right now. I was able to go live as it began. Oh, Kiev has been hit very hard.
Conversation. Today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. forces began launching new airstrikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction.
Would you mind trying that again?
Conversation. Today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. forces began launching new airstrikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. The strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and swiftly punish Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces who launched attacks against American service members in Jordan last night. Watch out for the stones thrown your way.
Yes. Sorry, that last line wasn't in the statement. I did see we did cover the Ukrainian strike on the Russian supply depot earlier. It caused a absolutely massive fire in Moscow. And as I mentioned, the CRAM is very, very active over Erbil. That's what started tonight. Now I'll show you some footage. I don't know if this is Kuwait or Bahrain, but it was a launch towards Iran in the recent days. I'm going to guess Kuwait. Those are American HIMARS heading towards Iran from Kuwait. Most likely Kuwait.
اللهم احفظ بلدنا يا رب اللهم احفظ بلدنا يا رب لا اله الا الله لا اله الا الله بسم الله الله يكفينا شر اليمن اي واحد طلع
المسيرة بالجو المسيرة بالجو يحكي
هاي واحد ثاني كمان 2 4 6 8 10 طلع يا رجال اللهم احفظ بلدنا كنا شرهن يا ربي والله
Very heavy American missile fire. I think that was Kuwait, but I can't confirm it because I don't speak that dialect. Now I'm going to show you footage from the Kiev metro station right now, where the ceilings are collapsing under Russian ballistic missile attack. I have some more CRAM footage that we have not seen. It's very up close and HD. I know a lot of you like the CRAM footage. You don't see CRAMs every day. They fire very, very, very fast. I'm going to show you some more CRAM footage coming out of Iraq right now. You've already seen some of it, but I haven't been able to show you every clip. So here's a few new clips. This is CRAM footage out of Iraq earlier tonight. About an hour ago. Yes, I heard the England France third place game finished 6-4. Nope, that's not a rugby score or a baseball score. That's a soccer score. 6-4. Francine, you're still here, my friend. It's so good to see you. You know, Francine, he was on protest. I don't know if you heard. He only got off his chair after 3 days because he heard you were here. Yes, it's the channel mascot. His name is Pete Bunny Tao. The only stuffed Pete Bunny that you know that somehow shows up during coverage of various war events. Yes, he's Francine's best friend. He was on protest because Francine wasn't around because we were streaming in the morning. Taking you back to Kiev now. Correct. The Silent Dogs notes that the CRAM is an electronically operated multi-barrel cannon with radar control. Yep, it has a rad dome and the actual cannon. This is the scenes out of Kiev right now. Yeah, a Gatling gun with huge rounds that fires very, very fast, whatever, 14,000 rounds a second, whatever it is, with an electric motor. Oh, yes, Peep is wonderful. He's a bunny towel. Oh, God bless you to the people who have been supporting Towel Channel. You're also wonderful. Thank you for your support of this news network. It's just me, really. So you're feeding me, keeping me alive, and allowing people who don't have resources to access the news. This is going to get very loud. British Reporter Towel, what are we listening to?
Watch out for the stones thrown your way.
This, please.
Conversation. Intense clashes continue between the Syrian regime of Ahmed al-Sharaa al-Jolani and gunmen who defected from the Syrian army in the city of Azaz in Aleppo, with reports of casualties and wounded from both sides.
Okay.
Rate this translation.
No, thank
Post
you.
your reply.
I don't want to do that. My analysis is that there's a very active like war in Syria on the ground right now. That is not skirmishes. That is a ground conflict. What are they doing? What did they just start fighting in the middle of a city with in the middle of dinner? Whoa. Syria was not like this earlier today. It was relatively calm. They are just going to war right now with the Syrian government. Oh my God. Yeah, this is a fierce military conflict. Now, obviously, the guy filming is not holding a weapon or firing a weapon. He's between two militaries who are fighting in the middle of Syria. Clearly, I don't think people expected this. I'm not a Syrian analyst. I'm more of an expert in Lebanon and Yemen. Syria does abut Lebanon and Israel near the Golan Heights, but I don't know as much about it. I'm telling you, that is odd. Civilians, if this doesn't happen all the time. I know you might say, well, it's Syria. No, that is very active military fighting between the Syrian government, which, remember, after Bashar al-Assad fell, the Syrian government became a lot more pro-Israel, pro-Western, the current government. Then you got separatist groups, to put it lightly, including the Iranian groups there, the Iranian Hezbollah in Syria, who absolutely oppose the Syrian government. I don't know why or what's going on. It's too rapid of a development. It literally happened 15 minutes ago. So I don't know if this is part of a wider coordinated thing, if this is just a flare-up of simmering tensions in Syria. I need more than 15 minutes to be able to tell you the context of why there is an active ground conflict in the middle of Aleppo. That was exceptionally surprising. I expected it to be more like skirmishes where small groups of resistance fighters were sort of targeting the Syrian army. No, that was a full-on active conflict between two very well-armed militaries. Okay. Yeah, DNA, I agree with you. Welcome to the channel. That's certainly, I don't think either side was firing bombs. I think those two groups in Syria, they are two militaries. One is pro-government, one is trying to overthrow the government. And that's right in the hut zone, right near, so they're in Aleppo. They're right here. I mean, they are right here. Where's Aleppo? They're right here. And this is a very important piece of territory. What's going on with my map? There it is. They're right here. This is the northern route of Syria. See behind my head? That's Aleppo. So they're fighting right in here. Alright. And that's right near Lebanon. Okay? Near the north of Lebanon. I shouldn't say right near. It's not on the border. But it's on a very important route. And if you think about it, isn't it a little weird? You know, now that I think about it, a lot of the interceptors that the U.S. uses to protect Israel are in Jordan. And a lot of the long-range radar, the early detection radars in Kuwait and Bahrain. And then a lot of the routes the missiles take, as we know from tracking them on the cams, are Erbil to Aleppo to Tripoli to Beirut to South Lebanon to Haifa to Tel Aviv. So, I mean, they do fire this way too. Iran, they have other missiles that, like hypersonics. But the Khorram Sharhars take the northern route. They are hypersonics, but they deploy tactically around here. Because Israel has a lot of last-minute defenses. But the Khorram Sharhar, if it fires here, if it deploys its bomblets here, it doesn't matter what you fire in terms of interceptors. Just, it's a little weird, isn't it? Aleppo and Erbil. Something's off. Oh, thank you so much. Is that... Who is that? Who's that in the chat? Is that Honest Rick? Honest Rick, that's you. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. It's nice to see you. We had a great chat earlier. You're wonderful. Thank you for supporting Tau Channel. God bless you. You are very kind. Yes, the bomblets. But hello, Honest Rick. I hope your night is going well. Certainly a lot going on out there in the world. Thank you. I think you rock as well. Yeah, it's going to be quite a night. The question at this point is just, where is it going to go? Hold on. I'm hearing reports of explosions in Qasr-e-Shirin city, a district of Kermanshah province. Now, I don't know where that is. I know where a lot of places are, but let me check this out. Qasr-e-Shirin city, okay? Qasr... I don't know every city in Iran. I know most of the provinces, but I don't know every city. Where is it? Where is it? Hold, please. Oh, interesting. Oh, no. Why? Okay, so take a look at this. This city is a little bit north of Baghdad. It's right here. It's kind of... Where is it? It's on the Iraqi border, south of Suleimania. It's literally right here. It's at this little, like, pokin. It's this thing. Okay, see behind my head? You want me to put it up on the big board? Alright, this, you pretend like you're in the movie Dr. Strangelove. We're going to put this up on the big board. Alright, where is it? Where is it? There it is. Alright, that's the big board. You see the big board? Pay attention to the big board. Alright, that's the world. Okay, the world functions kind of like a map. Alright, that's why we call it a map. Alright, that's Lebanon, that's Israel, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Basra, important, Penay Exclave. We'll talk about that later. Penay Exclave is a piece of land bordered by two different countries here. To the west, Iran, to the east, to the east, Iran, to the west, Kuwait. To one side here, the north by its own country, Iraq, and then by another side, water here, the north of the Persian Gulf. Okay, so that's called the Penay Exclave, okay, south of Basra. You got to remember that. It's going to be on the final. There will be a test. Talk to T.A. Sarah about bonus points. Okay, so, now, see the big board? Everybody paying attention to the big board? All right, this is the Strait of Hormuz. Most of the time when we're talking about strikes on Iran, like right now, we're talking about Bandar Abbas, Keshem Island. Maybe down here, Chabahar, Konarak, maybe Minab, that's where the girls' school was that hit. Okay, that was hit, okay? Talking about going up the coast, Bandar Kagan, Kish Island, okay? Bushir, Avaz up here, okay? The east, okay? All the way down here. That's what we're normally talking about. Now, to give you some context, when Israel strike, or America, likes to strike the capital, their strike corridor is Baghdad. Well, it's actually over here. It's Ben Gurion through Jordan, through the middle sector of Iraq, over Baghdad, and then through this part of Iran. They like to strike here, then they like to strike Khorram Sharhar, then Hamadan, then Tehran. So if you start hearing reports of first we just heard one here. If you hear reports of Karam Shaha hit, Hamadan hit, and then the capital hit, all hell is broken loose, because that is the strike corridor right here. That is the primary strike corridor for hitting the Iranian capital. Now, I haven't heard any reports of hits in the capital, but I'm telling you, after soldiers died last night, something is coming tonight. Probably B-2s. I don't know what they're going to do or where, but I'm ready to report it. Hello, Frank. So good to see you. We were having a conversation about the big board. All right, that's the big board. When I put the big board on the map, things are probably happening. All right, and that's called the big board. All right, I'm going to keep you updated. Breaking strike near Hajibad in Iran. I don't know where Hajibad is. Hold, please. Where is this one? This one seems to be in the south. Hajibad is a little bit north of Bandar Abbas. So the most recent strike confirmed by Iranian media was in Hajibad. Okay, right here. We'll get videos in a second. The strikes are happening right now. Until the U.S. wave of strikes ends, I just have to tell you where the strikes are happening. And, of course, there was the CRAM footage that I showed you over Erbil as well. A lot of CRAM footage from Erbil tonight. I'll show you as much as I can as it comes in. Oh, God bless you to the people supporting Tallow Channel. You're all wonderful. It's going to be quite a night. I'm going to try not to go past 10:30, but we're not even close to out of the woods. We're in probably the first hour and a half of what is going to be 3 hours of strikes. The Iranian response conventionally comes, I don't know, within an hour of the cessation of the American attacks, but tonight, I don't know what the hell is going to happen. Here's more footage from Erbil of the CRAM. I'm going to bring it up on your screen now. Yeah, we're right in the middle of what's going to be a very intense night. That is a CRAM. Breaking. Reports of smoke over the Iranian capital of Tehran. Breaking. Breaking, I'm seeing smoke rising over the south of the Iranian capital of Tehran. Here's footage of the CRAM firing over Erbil. Yes, tracer CRAM rounds are a thing to behold. There's no doubt about that. Now I'm going to show you the latest from... Hold. Oh, I have some footage from Kiev. I already showed you that. Oh, wait. I have footage from the attack on Kiev. It's very bad. The Ukrainian capital of Kiev has hit very bad. But let me take you to Tehran, Iran. Unconfirmed initial reports that there has been a strike in the south of the Iranian capital of Tehran. You're looking at what is really a picture that's only 7 minutes old. So I can't even confirm it via Vahid yet. However, I am showing you... Oh, wow. It is something that we're watching for in terms of drastic escalations at this moment. I also want to show you footage of a strike on Kiev. Hold, please. Doesn't attack civilians. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Whoa, this is right now. Oh, it's water under the fridge. Water under the fridge says when Chicago gets a CRAM, it will be a game changer for the PDs and the GDs. God bless you. Water under the fridge. But even then, I'm still not going to O-Block. I wanted to say hi to my friend, the great defender of the Great Lakes, water under the fridge, but this is terrifying. You are looking just probably 30 minutes ago at footage from maybe an hour ago, the Ukrainian capital of Kiev, where civilian buildings were struck directly with ballistic missiles. I don't know what to say about that. I know that for people who live in Ukraine, they've sort of seen the escalation of this war over 5 years. I mean, I can't believe this. That's terrifying. This happened about an hour ago in the Ukrainian capital of Kiev, where there are children in those buildings, including in the building where this was filmed from. Well, Paul Sar, you might have a point there. But it's still to see it. And Ukraine didn't strike with a ballistic missile, by the way, at that warehouse. They struck with drones. I saw the initial hit. This is a ballistic missile in the middle of the night on civilian apartment buildings. Those aren't drones. Drones have a sort of, a whiz to them. Well, also, Paul, sir, it's so good to see you, my friend. That is true. War is hell. But yeah, so there are drones that make this very loud whizzing sound. The Russian drones, in particular, those weren't drones. Those were ballistic missiles. That was brutal. It was a double tap too. It was back to back. Wolverines, apparently they're called. Yes, Paul, so it's always good to see you, even on a night of such intensity. Okay, now I'm going to take you to video of an Iranian Shahed 136 OVA UAV drone hitting an Iraqi Kurdistan position tonight. So it's an Iranian, a pro-American Iranian opposition hit by Iran.
This موشکی و درونی سپاه پاسداران بوسر بنکوبارگاگانی پرتازادی کردستان هر ایسا.
Speaking of the very telltale drone sign, that telltale drone sound, that is the telltale drone sound. Okay, now I'm going to show you more footage of the Russian Iskander-M missiles striking in Kiev tonight. Please be aware, this could be very loud. I agree, Kitty Coco. That's what Russian Iskander missiles sound like. Okay, now I want to show you another piece of footage. Also, there's an Israeli account that's saying very offensive things about American soldiers. He just happens to have this video. I don't know why he's saying this about our soldiers. I just want to play you this video. Okay? American soldiers a few days ago filmed the launches, and they did no OPSEC at all. Which, I mean, I understand why he criticized them, but he didn't have to call them. That was offensive. No one supposed to fire. Not something you're going to see every day, not footage that should even be out there. Thank you, Valhalla. Let me check this.
No one's supposed to fire.
If that's real and not generated, I have no expertise in it. Oh, Valhalla, that is not, that's not the dignified transfer. That's an outdated image. Thank you, though, for looking into it, but it has a note on it. It's not approved yet, but that image is outdated. Thank you, though, because I do think that when the image comes over the wire of the dignified transfer, it is very important to show. But no, that photo is outdated. Now, this footage, listen, I have no way to tell you whether it's, real or not, because I don't know. It looks pretty real, but I don't know enough about ballistic missile systems to tell you.
No one's supposed to fire.
Now, it's 11 seconds, which is in the range of AI clips, but it just doesn't look AI. Maybe it's a very modern AI. Pardon me, I had to sneeze. Did you know they make mute buttons for microphones, so I can do that and sneeze and you don't even hear it? It protects your ears. But yeah, I can't confirm that video, and I definitely don't like that language, so I unreposted that. I just thought it was important to show you that video, because if it is real, it's not something you see every day. No pun intended to the person who was in the chat making a pun about Israel. I want that off my feed. Well, I already did unrepost it. The only reason I posted it, one, was to call out that Hebrew language account. Maybe he didn't use that word. He might have used a word that translated, because Grok's translation is notoriously bad. You got to double check it. Maybe he meant something else in Hebrew that just translated poorly. But yeah, I don't know why that man would have said that. You can criticize giving away OPSEC without using the word he used, which in his defense, he doesn't speak English, so I have no idea what he said in the Hebrew. So I'm not going to condemn his soul on the off chance that he was using a term that just Grok, for whatever reason, mistranslated. And that has happened even to presidents. One time the Turkish president put out a statement, the president of Turkey, and it translated to like a sexual organ in one of the words. And he was like, what is going on here? People were screen capping the translation and being like, the Turkish president's talking about sexual organs. He was like, what is going on here? And it was Grok mistranslating a complex Arabic word. Where it got from that Arabic word to sexual organ, I don't know, but it looked ridiculous. So anyway, my point is a lot of people jumped to criticize Recep Erdogan, but it turns out he said nothing untoward at all. Grok just determined he did, and that was kind of ridiculous. Hi, Tripoli Bob, it's so good to see you. We have quite a night going on right now. Roturo, good to see you. I've always wanted to visit the Pacific. I've always thought that Fiji sounds wonderful. God bless you, my friend. It's so good to hear from you. I hope you've been well. Pulsar says they've been learning some Hebrew. It's the same alphabet as Syriac, but different shapes. And I pronounce the Semitic sounds lost in modern Hebrew. I like that. I have been listening to this fascinating man as a bit of a mental decompression break, because that was a fast and hard first hour, and things are still ongoing. I've been listening to this fascinating man who speaks ancient languages. He reads the Odyssey in the original language. He reads it with poetic intonation. He does chants, and it's so cool to live, because back then, think about it, they didn't really have technology. They had voice, and they had acoustics. They could build amphitheaters to make sound nice. But what did they really have? They had the spoken word. They had the visuals of the people. They had the sets, and they had the voice. So the whole refined nature of artistic expression was back then to captivate someone's attention. You were the unitary focus of what they were listening to. So it rewarded this very nuanced, lyrical emphasis. So it had like metered rhyme, but it's spoken in this chanted form that almost like enchants you. You're like ensorcelled by the like intonation of the speaking. It's not just the rhyme scheme, it's not just the meter, but it's the rhythmic pattern of the language that makes it very beautiful. But it makes me realize the reason why high art isn't really appreciated anymore is what the hell do people need that for? It's important, right? But what do people need to, like, 9 hours of like theatric explication on the human soul? Bro, if you can't tell it to them in like 30 minutes, like, yeah, people might indulge on the weekend, but that's a luxury. So, we have a lot more tools to entertain the brain these days. Now, it has dumbed down the polity, unfortunately. Like, instant access to information is great, but like introducing like the amount of entertainment that we have to stimulate the brain has resulted in a degradation of our analytical reasoning, because we don't need to think as hard to entertain ourselves. Does that make sense? When you let others entertain you rather than using your brain reflexively in like symbiotic relationship to the environment, you degrade your analytical reasoning. Which is a good commentary on why you should not use AI. It's fine if you want to like format with it, spell check. Everybody uses AI to spell check. They don't even know it. That's what a spell check is. But if you use it for rational thinking, for analytical reasoning, you'll lose it. Use it or lose it. All right, let's continue. I showed you the footage from the Ukrainian strikes. Oh, thank you for those 2 jewels. You're wonderful. I showed you the Ukrainian strikes. Let me give you the overview from MEO. MEO does these Middle East Observer. They pretty much are pretty accurate. They do digests. So through the hour, I'm checking all these sources, and then I'm checking the digest to see if they're reporting what the source is saying, and then to see if there's anything in the digest that I missed, and then I go back and check the source to see if they got it right.
Conversation. Digest, 2243 to 2343 Coordinated Universal Time. Lead. Attacks on Kurdish opposition.
Breaking. American federal authorities have arrested Andrew and Tristan Tate. Breaking. Federal authorities in Miami have just arrested Andrew and Tristan Tate. Charges are unknown. What? This like very controversial two brothers. They're from like Romania, and then I think they're originally from the UK that went to Romania. They're in all sorts of legal trouble in both countries, and they just got arrested in Miami by the U.S. federal government. I mean, bro, listen to me. It's one thing if you're an American and you get arrested. It's bad, even if you're an American when you get arrested by the feds. If you're not an American and you've been arrested by the federal government, something very, very bad has happened. I mean, minus like you didn't get into the country if you had like an ICE problem. I highly doubt it. I'm gonna guess that's criminal charges. Oh boy, that's rough. Are you saying, wait, Mr. President Trump invited them here? He set them up? Wow. I mean, this is only 6 minutes old, so I'm a war reporter, Tal, but if I see something like that, I mean, whoa. It could be immigration. But then again, they just got here. So, anyway, they're in U.S. federal prison now. Continue, please, with our digest.
Digest, 2243 to 2343 Coordinated Universal Time. Lead. Attacks on Kurdish opposition targets in Erbil and Sulaymaniyah intensify. Widespread fires reported spreading at party headquarters in Erbil, with the Kurdistan National Army saying its offices in both cities were hit. IRIB airs footage claiming a suicide drone struck the Sulaymaniyah HQ. Additional blasts reported in Dali Balasan and Duhok. New US strikes reported on Iran near Hajiabad, Hormozgan. No casualties or damage for Tasnim. Another strike reported near Koramabad. Air defenses engaged in attack near a Hormozgan city. Fighter jets heard over Kish Island, Mer, Tasnim, Al Mayadeen.
Pause. I'm now seeing that the Tate brothers are to be extradited to the UK on charges of SA. I have not confirmed this personally, but they are apparently being taken over to the UK where they will be charged with SA-related offenses. I have not confirmed this personally. Wow, Mr. President set him up.
Conversation.
Let's go back to
Digest.
the last paragraph,
New
please.
US strikes reported on Iran near Hajiabad, Hormozgan, no casualties or damage per Tasnim. Another strike reported near Koramabad, air defenses engaged in attack near a Hormozgan city. Fighter jets heard over Kish Island, Mer, Tasnim, Al Mayadeen. Tasnim denies reports of US strikes on province Qam, and later denies a claimed missile strike in Bayban, citing security, police denials, showing some attack claims this hour are false or unconfirmed. WSJ, Iran has developed missiles flying at very high speed with terminal maneuvering to evade US defenses. Separately says manned and unmanned aircraft were damaged in the Jordan base, Al Sultan, Muvafaq Salti, Strike, IRIB, Rast Akbar Shahaba. Clashes reported near Beta, south of Nablus, after a settler attack in Al Dara, several youths injured by stones, Nablus Ger. Armed clashes reported in northern Aleppo between Turkish-backed factions and Al Jolani-aligned forces, with civilian casualties claimed, Rast Akbar Shahaba, unconfirmed. Israeli warships reportedly shelled the sea northwest of Gaza City. Renewed Russian missile strikes reported on Kyiv.
That's a pretty accurate digest. So, I really pay very close attention to most of the updates. Here's the pictures. I cannot confirm them. They're coming in from AZ Intel. Here you go. I think TMZ originally got them, but AZ Intel was the first one to post them. Andre King, good to see you. How have you been, my dear friend? God bless you. Thank you for your support of Tao Channel. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. There's the shot. The Tate brothers in cuffs. There it is. Unless this is outdated, but I don't think it's outdated. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure, because it's attributed to AZ Intel, and they're pretty good. They're like 99.98% accurate. So, there you go. We got them. Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. federal government always gets their men. Standing Stones, yeah, they're very high level, like international. I think one of them was a kickboxer. And then they were like influencers. Then they became like gambling influencers. I don't remember. I don't exactly know how they rose to fame, but they became very controversial in different countries. They're originally from the UK. They went to Romania. Romanian authorities accused them of sex trafficking. Very serious allegations. They were out on bond. They were invited to come to America with permission, like a few months ago. I think they had like standing permission or something. No pun intended. Standing Stones. And they were here in Miami, probably for the World Cup final tomorrow. And they were just arrested maybe an hour ago. They're now being flown to the United Kingdom, where they will be facing 7 newly unsealed charges of SA. And these were men who literally thought they were untouchable, because they were in like Bucharest, Romania. And I don't know if you know anything about the government of Romania. They're pretty serious. Their organized crime task force, don't mess with them. But the government of Romania, it's a lot of pay for play. It's a very poor country. So they were living in a country where like money gets you everything, and they had a lot of money. But according to Romanian authorities, it was a front where they would like bring girls to Romania, put them in like a mansion, and then lock them in a room and make them do like cam shows. That's what the Romanian authorities allege. That has not been proven at trial. That is why they were charged criminally in Romania. That, I don't know what they've been charged with in the UK, but that's what's caused them to be arrested. And this is going to be, you know, in terms of international news, like the British Broadcasting Company hates these guys. Oh goodness, like they hate these guys. They're gonna flash this on every single channel. They're gonna like make, when these guys get brought into court, you think Tommy Robinson following some of those defendants around was intense. The media in the UK is gonna treat this like a spectacle. They hate these guys. Now, let me explain to you why. It's not related to what's going on in the Middle East, but it's a very big international story. In the UK, they have a very liberal, to put it lightly, like government and educational establishment. These guys encourage, like, I don't know what the word for it is, like chauvinism, I guess, just like gratuitous, like misogyny. And that's a criticism, because what they do is ridiculous. But what it does is, like 12-year-olds, you must understand, they are like the tablet generation. So they're just like scrolling through their tablets. And then you get like this middle school age group of guys, kids really, impressionable kids who are watching that stuff. And they go into school and they like tell the teacher, like, I don't know, whatever, what the hell they call it? It's not like, you know, Macho Man, but whatever you call the thing that these guys do. I don't really think what they do is very important, so I don't pay attention. But the point is that like 12-year-olds go into school and they tell the teacher like F you, and then call her like slurs for like misogynistic slurs. And the teachers are like, it wasn't like one literally caused like children in the UK to start becoming misogynistic at the age of like 11. I read the whole report. I don't really understand like what they cover. I think they just kind of talk, I figure. I don't really know. But they, apparently kids, like 12-year-olds, like really are into these guys. Like, I don't really get it, though. But it caused a problem, not in the U.S. It might have caused a problem in the U.S., I don't know. But the political problem for them is the U.K. Because they really upset some people in the U.K. because of what happened with that, like, youth, like, behavior. And it was all attributed to these guys. Not both of them. I think specifically this one, the bald one. Yeah, that one. Anyway, they're going to have a very miserable life going forward, so. But yeah, there you go. You'll read about that in the headlines for at least 3 days. They have to get extradited now, but we need to go back to war updates. So I gave you the digest, and now I'm going to show you the attacks on the Iranian opposition earlier today in the daytime in Iraq. These are Iranian attacks in Iraq. X1R says they think they're propagandists for the testosterone fundamentalist front. The TFT, I like that. The testosterone fundamentalist front. They look like Intel to me. Probably like very low level. They look like Intel. They're ridiculous. But they're very unhealthy for America and for like Western countries, and that has the telltale sign of Intel. It destabilizes countries when you have extremist viewpoints like that. If you ever want to spot an Intel op, you just look for who's seeding the most. Alright. And Intel ops, by the way, are designed to destabilize populations. They want to sow discord. Alright, we just had 2 hours straight of American strikes. They have not stopped. 2 hours straight of American strikes in Iran. And I will wait for the footage to come in. Although apparently, and what's really concerning, more strikes right now in Erbil. Okay. I have more footage of the CRAM from Erbil right now as well. Just in the last, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, this is going to be a long night. I'm not really sure what's going on. There's a massive security presence deployed to Avaz, Iran, and I'm going to attribute that to this source. That's pretty like on the ball, and it's right. Avaz is right on the border with Iran, near Kuwait. This could be loud. This is the CRAM going burr over Erbil. I cannot time and date this, but you should be aware this could get very loud very quickly.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
There's something off. There's a lot of strikes happening, but it appears there's some kind of internet outage. And I can tell you somewhat where the strikes have been. It's very unclear. What the hell is that? I'm going to show you the footage now. This is Suleimania. So that's Suleimania. I don't know when. It looks like tonight. I'll try to confirm. Since 6 p.m., the start of the American strikes, here are the only strikes that I have to report. The Circus, which is a mistranslation, it's kind of like an area, I think, near Bandar Abbas. A strike near Sirkik Port in Hormuzgan. A strike near Hajabad City in Hormuzgan. And then public security forces deploying in Azaz, A-Z-A-Z, which I think is Avaz. And then an American strike near the city of Hajabad in Hormuzgan. And then the sound of an explosion in the Al-Buwayjaya desert, okay? No rockets launched from Kuwait during this round of attacks. I don't know what to make of that. I just don't know what to make of this. Is anyone hearing anything? Is anyone hearing anything on the Iranian sources? I think something has just gone down. We should monitor Vahid. But they all just went dark at the same time. All of them. All of the Iranian sources went dark at the same time. We could check the cams. Intel cams can give us a little bit. Sometimes they'll report what they're seeing on the chatter, but all of the Iranian sources just went dark at the same time. I'm telling you. I wonder what they're doing. I mean, I'll let you look in. Would you mind? Would you mind resetting? Hello, how are you doing? So I'll let you look in at Tehran. Yeah, so I should tell you. There is most certainly a round of American attacks ongoing. I saw about 45 minutes ago the cell service and internet went down in the south of Iran, and then all of the sources went dark at the same time. Silent Dog says they can't resolve to Iranian ISPs right now. Yep, okay. We're in it. Whatever it is. We're back. You might get some buffering tonight. It's not the internet. It's not you. It's not me. It's just frames going up to the server. They got to get sent up. If they come back down, there's nothing you can do. I just wait for it. I call it turbulence. I just wait for it to kind of settle down. If you ever get that spinning circle, it never lasts for more than like 10 seconds to a minute. It's just the frames, like resetting. And then I'm still here. I can kind of see it. I don't use StreamYard. I use my own custom client. So I know exactly, I monitor exactly what's going on. So I just kind of wait. Oftentimes it's a server. It's sort of just overload. I just let it kind of resolve. But unlike other streams where maybe they use StreamYard, you don't see that level of refined feedback from the actual packets and frames coming down and up, but I see it. I look at it. So, all right, we're stable. Good to see you all. We're back. There was a bit of a frame drop. Yeah, all the Iranian sources went dark at the same time. There's something happening. I wish I could tell you what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know who took the internet down. I don't know why they took it down in Iran. But they all just went dark at the same time. And all these accounts feed information from Iranian sources on the ground texting out. Yeah, Kevin from South Boston. I don't really, as much as I like the ability of generative AI to summarize things, it can't really do real-time reporting. It relies on like people, like journalists, like myself and others, who report what's happening. Right now, we're just gonna sort of see what's going on here. I'm not sure we're ready to designate him Reporter Towel Grok yet. Let's put it that way. For the first time, no, I'm not ready to call it that yet. I need to see the CENTCOM statement. If they put out a statement in like an hour saying it's over, it'll be a bit of a taco. I don't think that's happening. I'm pretty sure there's a communication blackout in most of Iran right now. We do have a camera on the Capitol. It's working. I don't have any reason to believe it's like a fake image. Oh, Iranian sources slowly coming back online. There was a hit in Keshem Island right now. Brown Irish Eyes, thank you so much for that wonderful mic drop. That was a great mic drop. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for your support of Towel Chain. Yes, Bandar Abbas and Keshem right now. All right, so we are getting some reports. That is a positive sign. Like 3 hours of blackouts while strikes are ongoing would not have been a positive sign. It seems after the attacks on the U.S. bases yesterday and what Mr. President Trump said was coming tonight, it seems far too eerily quiet. And you got me for like maybe 2 more hours until morning time. This is the hour though, 3 to 4 a.m. Although Iran, for their part... Oh, did you notice tonight as well? No missiles launched from Kuwait towards Iran. I wonder where these planes are taking off from. Hold on. That is a bit of a weird one, isn't it? The whole thing is weird, frankly. Most likely they would take off from Saudi Arabia and Israel. Far too quiet. I'll show you some footage now from the oil depot in Stavropol. I believe this is in Russian-occupied Ukraine or Russia. It's about to be morning time. Sean, you think they hit 116 communication towers tonight? The strikes have only been ongoing for 2 hours, and I haven't seen any reports of any damage at all. The best I have for you is this list of attacks. And nothing from Vahid. So, I don't really know what to tell you. For what should have been a very serious night of attacks, I don't know what to tell you. Something doesn't feel right. It is Bunny Talmom's birthday, though, so I want to say happy birthday to Bunny Talmom again, and hello to Kofi Evo. Happy birthday, Bunny Talmom. You're wonderful. Whoa. The reason why Andrew Tate and his brother were arrested is the UK charged them with 38 additional criminal offenses. Andrew Tate now faces 42 charges. Tristan Tate faces 17. And they were arrested following an investigation out of Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, and Hertfordshire in England. And they'll be extradited. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to be in prison for a long time. Keshem Island being struck right now. And then also some jet activity over Basra and southern Iraq. Very violent shelling on Bandar Abbas as we speak. No footage. Monitoring. It's going to be very, very, very loud. No details on the charges. It dates back to the investigation to 2012. 3 separate police forces in the UK. It looks like they're looking to put them in jail in the UK for a very long time. I don't imagine we're going to hear from either of these men for a while. An American attack started 2 hours and 15 minutes ago. I have been monitoring for you each sort of element of it, and in a very unusual turn of events, although we are getting some reports of the current attacks, there has not been many reports of damage in Iran over 2.5 hours after 2 American troops were killed in Jordan yesterday into today. So that's kind of what we're all just sitting here watching. And here's some more CRAM footage for you to watch. Yes, that's true. In October of 2025, Kuwait said that no webcams could be put up without permission of the government. I was just surprised they found that random webcam from the Intel Cams Live. Now, Intel Cams is pretty big. It's not that big. But for them to get the attention, it's like an American channel. For them to get the attention of the Kuwaiti government, I mean, Kuwait's got to have some pretty serious intel if they're figuring out that an American YouTuber has like a webcam somewhere in Kuwait. But yeah, I agree. It's not permitted. Kuwait's not as strict as UAE when it comes to stuff like that. but they're strict. As I show you the CRAM footage, just playing, just lighting up the sky. There was a very loud explosion in southern Lebanon. It was heard in the Bekaa. More as I know it. 5 successive explosions in Keshem Island at 3:37 a.m., so 10 minutes ago. Whoa. This was not what I expected at all. Not at all. I expected a ferocious round of attacks from the U.S. Right now, I'm not going to say anything right now because I don't know what's happening on the ground. But why? Why would you go with the same round of strikes after what happened in Jordan? I don't understand. If anything, Mr. President Trump seems like he struck less. What is that? At this point, and maybe this is what each side wants, I have no read on what these sides are doing. There doesn't seem to be tactical objectives. They both withdrew from the Memorandum of Understanding. There are no doubt American attacks going on right now in Iran, because I'm not going to conclude my coverage until I see the CENTCOM statement. But for the first time over the past 7 or 8 days of escalation, there have been no launches from Kuwait. No launches from Bahrain, we would know. Just American bombing along the coast of Iran, and one bombing up north along the Iraqi border. He's not really going to taco. I can't imagine he would. Alright, I'll play a Lego song. That leaves our bases, that leaves our fighters defenseless. The interceptors we have can't stop the missiles. And we're just going to let him get away with it. By the way, someone asked earlier, before I go to the Lego video, about the footage of Ukraine attacking a Russian supply depot. They didn't use cruise missiles. They used a drone. They just set a big fight after. I can't wait for that interview with Melanie Little tomorrow. I hope it will give me an opportunity to think less about the chaos that is enveloping the world and instead focus on some very important criminal justice reform matters in the great state of Massachusetts. I want to show you a new Lego video. I found it a little bit earlier. I'm just so baffled and so confused and frustrated, and I don't want to let out my frustration without seeing the full context, but it's been 3 hours and there have been maybe 7 to 12 attacks, and after what happened to the U.S. troops in Jordan yesterday, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just going to play this new Lego video that came out today, courtesy of, well, not courtesy of, but it was posted by Patty Stinian, and it is from MC Ice Cap. It's called The $100 Billion War. Silent Dogs is going to love it. Here's some new Lego for you. Yeah! I also like Spicy McChickens, but I can't have Spicy McChickens because of my colitis. So I have plain chicken. And if I get like spicy chicken, if they only have it, I have to get the most mild form. And even then, just, I can't. It risks my stomach like getting inflamed and then me like having serious like complications. So anyway, the point is, I do love spicy chickens, and I love them from McDonald's, but I haven't been able to have them in 20 years, but I do eat the plain chicken.
It's the Ice Cap with the 24-hour update.
It's been too long since we've had new Lego.
Iran hitting the Gulf again. Bridge in the rubble.
Breaking: explosion blasts in Kuwait near the Iraqi border, and news of a missile launch towards the lands of Iran from Kuwait.
Escalation on repeat. $100 billion in the war, don't quit. Iran fires on the Gulf, U.S. answers with hits. Bridge blown to pieces, cash up in smoke. Taxpayers on the hook while the Strait still choke. 100 billion reasons this loop's insane. Escalation station. Cost keeps climbing, attacks don't fade. This was a money pit, be your 24-hour update. Last 24 hours, the pattern stay locked. Iran renewed the fire, Gulf states got rocked. Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan in the crosshairs again. Missiles and drones on their lives, cause the tension won't bend.
They are timely. You gotta give them that.
It's intensified, striking back hard and deep. Infrastructure targeted, a bridge taken cheap, but the fighting continues like the last round never stopped. Fragile ceasefire shattered, now the whole region's hot. The ticker just crossed 100 billion strong. Pentagon saying Moody's numbers wrong, or maybe they're right and the real bills higher. Household costs, gas prices, a global economic fire. Deployments and munitions, the fuel and steel. Interest rates climbing from the spending to peel. Oil surging past comfort while the supply chain strains every American household. Feeling the pain, 100 billion reasons to ask what we gain when the attacks on the Gulf keep coming like rain. U.S. strikes answer, but the loop stay the same. Bridge in the rubble, but the war's still aflame. No off-ramp in sight, just a bill getting better. Taxpayers and troops caught in the endless chatter of we're winning or they're losing while the court.
Yeah, well, Iran has a certain way. I mean, they don't endorse every video. Iran's Legos are different. This is not an Iranian released Lego. It's more like a tribute to the Iranian style. Iran's official Legos are a lot darker, a lot more like directly like going at the U.S. government. This is actually tame compared to some of the stuff. I mean, all right, I guess I should make a point. I'll show you how, like what the Iranians used to do during the when they were mad at Pete Hegseth. Oh my word, they made. And these are on like news channels to this day. The news channels were like blown away, so they actually uploaded some of these. I mean, like the Pete Hegseth Lego song. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you about that one. Like, it's absolutely like, and I'm showing this to Sean to make the point about how tame the one we just listened to was. When Iran, like the government of Iran, like through their cyber wing releases a Lego, it's way more like direct. It's less commentary and more like policy through for a Western audience. This is what it was like during the early days of the war.
Pete Hegseth, this one's specially for you. You punk ass rapist bitch, straight from Iran. Tattoo covered clown with that cafe ink on your arm. Think you a crusader? Nah, just a drunk infidel in a fake uniform. Chain to kill all Muslims, wasted in the hotel lobby. Sexual assault settlement in Monterey. Blocked the door, took a phone, paid her off quiet, cause Me Too was on. Now you secretary? What a joke, bro. Cheated on wives, multiple affairs, kids in the mix, family man, hell no. Handsy with women at Fox, drunk on the job. Your own team say, yo, this dude toxic. Couldn't even guard Biden's inauguration. Your own military said next. Book called American Crusade, dreaming holy war, but reality check. You just a failed vet, turned TV clown, slipping on your own mess. Trump picked you cause you kissed the ring, but wait, funny part ain't coming. The dude you sucking up to for that secretary gig, Trump himself was Bill. Real talk, you out here blowing. You thought our missiles max 2,000 kilometers? Cute, rookie mistake. We hitting the bow, worshiping Epstein Island crew, the ones who hurt the kids. Revenge for every American.
Now this part, that previous part gets a little too vulgar. This part I can vibe with.
Been Epstein, cute, rookie mistake. We hitting the bow, worshiping Epstein Island crew, the ones who hurt the kids. Revenge for every American soul you and Trump's dirty crew oppressed and did. We taking payback for the girls you broke, the wives you broke, the Muslims you hate. Every victim screaming in the dark. Iran got you on the play. You threw everything at us, all your cards, all your might. We still operating on 10% power, laughing while you fight. We see everything, know every secret, every dirty Epstein link you hide. Where you least expected, in the shadows we ride, and no place to slide. This ain't full force, just a warm up, Persian flow with the wrath. Pete, you done roasted raw, Iran in this heat, feel the math. Drop the mic, infidel clown.
Now, for analytical purposes, of course, we can watch one more Lego. I mean, this is very important to understand how Iran does their propaganda. Now, someone asked, this is on APT News, someone asked, what about the one that talks about the American leadership? Well, yeah, I have that one too. I mean, we have to analyze this. I know how much you all loathe having to watch Lego. You don't like the Lego videos at all. I know it's really tough for you to watch them, but you know,
Hey,
if we
Orange
must.
Pig, America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you sold. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people's reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us till the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone your system ever wrong. They've known all along the enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. Ain't waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, nah, you put losers first. Make Israel great again.
Here it comes.
Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard, you cooked. We stepping up to the plate. Epstein regime gotta fall. You fake Christian elite sacrificing the ball. Demon, you talk real big for a man with tiny hands. Tiny hands, tiny things, tiny everything. We saw everything, and word got out. The smallness kinda expands. No wonder all those rage tweets, all those desperate rants. Overcompensating bully, always causing the scene. You said you love losers. Well, look at your team. Your government is run by. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all.
So go, we should run it again, right?
America first? Ooh.
I have to break in to tell you that as this is going on, a second round of explosions have just gone off in Keshem and Bandar Abbas.
Oh boy, that was the slogan you sold. But Bibi's
Alright,
pulling...
Iran. So, listen, here's what, let me just pause this to give you some analysis. Think about what the Iranian position is. These were like the official Legos, if you want to call it official. They would never claim this. It's a Lego video. It's black arts. It's propaganda. But they use like contractors, explosive media, and in particular to do it. Think about what Iran is saying with their messaging and their imagery. Notice how the style is different. It's more like professional art style. The lyrics, sure, it's like generated lyrics, but listen to like the flow, the beat. It's all designed for a Western audience to kind of watch like symbiotically, vicariously, and like legitimately at the same time. It functions on a bunch of different levels. You're watching it because it's fascinating to watch like an Iranian perspective. You're watching it without realizing it in a way that's giving you the Iranian viewpoint directly. And then there's the subtle like nuance to the Iranian perspective, which is they have the moral high ground. They want the moral high ground, and that's why they don't do belligerent things. Have you know? Do you see Iran just like bombing random people like in the middle of the day when nothing's going on? No. Have you ever seen them, other than preemptive attacks on launch positions, have you ever seen them strike first? They don't. Because they want the moral high ground. They want to be able to say the governments of these countries attacking us don't represent the will of their people. They don't represent sort of the democratic principles they claim to uphold. And furthermore, we only are attacking them because they're attacking us. They want to come out long term. And we're going to watch an interview with a member of the Iranian delegation in light of today's developments. Now, he did it with Mario Narfal, who's okay. The account he runs, it's a little too much. It's better now that he has it attributed to certain writers. But the interview he did with Professor Morandi was really good. But you got to understand the Iranian IRGC position. They are not madmen. They're radical. You could call them, what does radical even mean? They're extreme in terms of their interpretation of the Quran, but they're not crazy. They're not madmen. They're very sincere in their religious beliefs. And they'd probably talk to you about Jesus if you ask them. You know, they really like the Virgin Mother. There's a whole chapter of the Holy Quran. Not just the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is in the Holy Quran, but Jesus is in there 25 times or so. And there's a whole book of the Holy Quran. Might have called it a chapter. It's a book or a chapter about the Virgin Mother. It might be an entire book. And plus, if you've ever read the story of the Pharaoh in the Holy Quran, I mean, the imagery is right there. The moral sort of story. It's very different in form, but very similar to Jesus, like driving the money changers out of the temple, which was one of the last things he did, by the way. You ever look at, in Matthew or whatever book you want to read it in, of the Bible, you ever look when Jesus actually drove the money changers out of the temple? That was the last thing he did. It was probably Wednesday of Holy Week, I believe, or Thursday, before he got arrested.
Strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran. Hear this clear. Your people reach.
Yeah, what I've noticed is that Iran is not hostile to the American public on the whole. They're very hostile to like the defense, like military industrial complex. They're very hostile to the current administration. And they're very hostile to like oil companies. They really don't like people who compete with them for economic resources. But frankly, they'd rather we just competed with them on the open market as opposed to use our military in the Middle East to create an artificial demand for American oil.
Shout to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epps.
They did lose their leader, but remember, Sean, what we needed to do to end the Islamic Revolution, if that's even possible, was actually take out Khomeini's family, which we did not do. Now, maybe Mohatab Khomeini's alive, maybe he's not, but the public believes he's alive, and that's all that matters. It's continuing that tradition. That's what kept Iran's political system alive. Everything in Iran, it's not the parliament, it's not the foreign ministry, it's not the IRGC, it's not the Supreme National Council. It all flows constitutionally through the supreme leader. It's the world's only theocratic dictatorial democracy.
Steam regime's fear. It's us till the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong. They've known all along. The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed. Taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. They waking up to the lies, the illusions of birth. You
Breaking.
America.
Breaking. I have footage from Keshem Island. Breaking. This is Towel News. I have footage from Keshem Island. America has struck in Keshem Island. Here's the footage. I'm gonna turn down our live cams. America has struck. Here's the footage. Keshem Island just now. Keshem Island. Roar of explosions on the Kuwaiti side near the Iraqi border right now. It's all happening. Here we go. You're looking at Keshem Island, maybe within the last 30 minutes. I can't tell what has been hit. We're going to listen to this interview, though, because I want you to understand, and maybe Professor Morandi will tip us off a little bit about exactly what's going to happen today. If Kuwait did indeed launch at American positions, you should expect retaliatory shelling on Kuwait. We don't have our live camera in Kuwait anymore, but we will still find out what's going on. I want to listen to this interview, though, with, it's probably the most recent interview with a member of the Iranian delegation. Let's see if this is translated to English yet. Nope. Let's take a listen to an Arabic report. Interpret Towel, if you're here and you understand what's going on, let us know. Let's take a listen to this Arabic report from Tehran about 4 hours ago.
من إعلان قيادة القيادة المركزية الوسطى للجيش الأمريكي بمقتل جنديين أمريكيين هذا
666 Ray of Light said, Graham, what are the Americans hitting? It's the same targets. That's true. This seems to be a drain on the American taxpayer. War is a racket. It's a drain on every taxpayer meant to siphon funds, extract resources from the polity, and send them to defense contractors. That's my opinion. If you speak Arabic, by the way, and you're out there and you want to help us translate, please let us know.
قيادة مهمة جدا هو يعكس بوضوح مصداقية حرس الثورة، دقة استخبارات حرس الثورة. عندما تتحدث بيانات أو تحدثت بيانات حرس الثورة بالأمس عن إصابات بين قتلى وجرحى في صفوف الأمريكيين الجنود الأمريكيين المعتدين على سيادة إيران وأراضي إيران، هي تعي جيدا ما تقول. هذا أيضا ينعكس على ما تستهدفه من قدرات ومقدرات ورادارات وأنظمة تشغيل وأنظمة صاروخية أمريكية تعتدي بها على الأراضي الإيرانية. نقطة هامة جدا لعله لا تعني كثيرا للداخل الإيراني الذي يثق بقدرات حرس الثورة والجيش الإيراني، لكن أيضا هذا يعكس ذلك للرأي العام العالمي. هذا الرأي الذي حذرته إيران مطولا منذ توقيع المذكرة، منذ ما قبل توقيع المذكرة، بأنه عدم احتواء أمريكا، عدم السيطرة على ما يمكن أن تفعله على عودة عدوانها قد يطيح بمذكرة التفاهم. هذا ما أشار إليه بوضوح قائد الثورة والجمهورية الإسلامية سيد مجتبى خامنئي اليوم في بيانه، عندما يقول بأن توقيع الرئيس ترامب لا معنى له، وهو دليل جديد، مصداق جديد للشعب الإيراني بعد تجربة طويلة مرة في هذا السياق من قلة الأمانة وقلة الثقة من الجانب الإيراني تجاه الجانب الأمريكي. على أي حال هذا كان يوم مفصل اليوم، يوم صعدت فيه القوات المسلحة الإيرانية هجماتها، أصبح القواعد الأمريكية في المنطقة كلها مباحة، كل قاعدة ستستخدم للاعتداء على الشعب الإيراني ستكون هدف ومرمى لنيران الصواريخ الإيرانية. الأهم من ذلك رامية ما أعلن عنه اليوم بأنه ليس فقط الأهداف العسكرية، ليس فقط القواعد العسكرية، أي منشأة سواء كانت مدنية أو عسكرية تستخدم من قبل القوات الأمريكية في أي منطقة، في أي نقطة من المنطقة، ستكون هدفا مباحا. الجانب الأمريكي لم يحترم لا أهداف مدنية ولا أهداف عسكرية، هو يقصف بشكل مباشر منشآت مدنية ومصالح المواطنين، ويستخدم منشآت مدنية في دول الجوار، في دول المنطقة لاستهداف هذه المنشآت المدنية. لذلك قالت إيران منذ البداية إما أمن للجميع أو لا أمن لأحد رامية، إما طاقة للجميع أو لا طاقة لأحد، إما بنى تحتية للجميع أو لا بنى تحتية لأحد. هذه معادلة لم تقل على سبيل التهديد فقط، هي تهديد وضع له خارطة طريق إذا ما استمرت الاستهدافات على هذا الحال. القوات المسلحة.
That was Al Mayadeen's correspondent in Lebanon, in Tehran tonight, about 6 hours ago, before the American strike started 3 hours ago. Now I'm going to show you a scene from Al Zaghul building in Bir al-Bad, Lebanon. It's opposite the Kamal Amuz phone store. It had been targeted during the war. It just collapsed. I don't think it was attacked. I think it just collapsed. This is South Lebanon, I believe. This is like 10 minutes ago. Whenever anything happens in Lebanon, I hear about it right away. You're looking at a building that was damaged during the war, literally collapsing in the middle of the road. It was not hit by a strike. It simply collapsed.
شباب هالبنية الزغلول القديم وقعت من فوق وسكرت الطريق هون. فيها ناس قاعدين فوق بالزمط وما في حدا الحمد لله لحد هلا ما في إصابات. شباب هالبنية الزغلول القديم وقعت من فوق وسكرت الطريق هون.
A building fell down that was damaged during the war. It was about 10 minutes ago. This is a man at the scene. I don't speak Arabic, but he has a cell phone. He's standing at the scene. He's filming the building having fell down. So, yeah, if you have an office in that building, unfortunately, well, you probably weren't in it, but it has fell down. I would imagine that there's emergency crews going there now. In Lebanon, the way it works is people just rush to the scene of things and film it and then upload it immediately. So you're seeing this like before it's even on other channels. Like Al Jazeera will have this. It's pretty dramatic that a building fell down. It literally just fell down from war damage. But there was no attack. Just to be clear, there is Israeli shelling in the south of Lebanon, but there was no attack. This building during the war was attacked and has now collapsed. Okay, anything else I have to show you? At 3:38 local time, so just under an hour ago, multiple explosions in Kashem Island, and then in the last 8 minutes, explosions on the Kuwaiti side of the Iraqi border. I will get you more information as soon as I can, but I need to put on this interview with Professor Marandi, if you wouldn't mind praying my indulgence, because I need to hear a little bit about what the Iranian perspective is, and it's not helpful to listen to like a reporter in Tehran. What I want to hear is a guy who's in the delegation. There's only one man that speaks English. He's a professor of English and a very smart guy. He interviews on El Mayadeen a lot. It's actually funny to watch him interview on El Mayadeen because he doesn't speak Arabic. He speaks Farsi and English fluently. And when they interview him on El Mayadeen, they translate his English into the Arabic. It's great. It's pretty actually adorable. I've tried to get an interview with him. It's probably not going to happen. He doesn't really interview with American stations. He interviews with some, like, I guess you'd call them dissident American stations, but I'm not a dissident. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a dissident. So let me just find this video with Mario interviewing Professor Marandi. It was really this many hours ago. I thought it was more like in the afternoon. Well, I can show you the Iranian launch video. This is going to be loud. This was the Iranian launch video from this morning. Let me pull up the video with Mario while you watch this. This is what Iran launched this morning. So this was 12 hours ago. They launched them overnight. But you don't see an Iranian launch video every day. So if you missed it this morning, here it is tonight. That's the song. Whoever runs the IOGC loves this song. Yeah, this is the mothership song. When they play this song, they're really mad. Like you've done something that has really upset them if they play this song in a launch video. Jet activity over Tehran doesn't mean that there will be any activity further, but jets over Tehran 60 seconds ago. Alright, that was the latest from the IOGC. We're going to watch this interview with Professor Morandi now. Alright, I found it. Took me a little bit to hunt it down. As we're listening to this is a member of the Iranian delegation. It's probably the only opportunity you're going to get to hear the Iranian perspective. Okay, it's an interview with Mario. It's from 3 hours ago. Professor Morandi is very smart. Mario's a good reporter. I don't love the way the Twitter feed was. I like it more now, as I mentioned, with the authors attributed, so you know when it's not Mario, you know when it's someone else. You know when it's not Mario, you know when it is Mario, you know when it's a writer for him. He does the interviews himself, though, the video interviews, and the reason we're listening to this is Professor Morandi is a member of the Iranian delegation. This is 3 hours old. It's the only person who's actually involved in the Iranian government. He's not part of the government. He's an advisor to the Iranian delegation that negotiates related to the war. The only one who speaks English. Some of them probably speak a little English. He's the only one that actually fluently speaks English. This is Professor Morandi.
What, and announced an escalation?
No, this is so this is something, I'm not sure if we're live yet. I'll wait for the producers to give me the go-ahead that we're live. But this is how we are live. So CENTCOM just released a statement. So we know the red line has been, one of Trump's red lines is casualties, the death of American soldiers. CENTCOM has a statement on recently fallen missing U.S. service members. On July 17th, which is yesterday, 2 U.S. service members in
Bushehr Iran has been hit.
Jordan were killed in action as U.S. Central Command and partner forces defended against Iranian ballistic missiles and drone attacks. Additionally, 1 service member is currently missing in action. 4 American service members were medically evacuated to Jordanian hospitals. They have since been discharged. Other personnel who were evaluated for minor injuries have...
That building that collapsed in Lebanon was not in the south. It was the south of Beirut. The south of Beirut in the Lebanese capital.
...returned to duty. Out of respect for families, CENTCOM will withhold additional information, including the identities of the fallen warriors, until 24 hours after the next of kin have been notified. So that's been something that there's been a lot of, a lot of people have been watching. There's 2 things people are watching right now. The first one is what I want to talk to you about, and that is the Iranian threat that Iran will strike the Dubai and Abu Dhabi airports if the Iranian infrastructure is struck. And the other thing we've been watching and I talk about on a daily basis, because it's a red line that Trump himself has placed, that is any American casualties, any soldiers being killed, because that is something Trump said would bring him back into a full-blown war. Now, you could say we're already in a state of war. Iran has said that today. Earlier, a few members of the Iranian government have said that. But this is a pretty significant, that's one of many significant developments in the last 48 hours. So I'd love maybe to start getting your thoughts on this breaking story, Professor.
Well, I think U.S. casualties are significantly higher than that. And the Iranians know that...
Whoa, you what? You what? Listen, Professor Morandi, as much as he is very pro-Iran, he's not a propagandist. You're going to hear him toe the party line, but he's not bombastic. He's like an analytic literary professor. I'm not kidding you. He's very eloquent, but he's very, he will beat the drums of war, but he's more of an analyst. All right? He really is. So he doesn't really use bombast. He'll just tell you what he thinks. That's very concerning to me because he's understated in his delivery. You notice he's not up there like saying we've done this, and this. Like he's not claiming outrageous numbers, saying like 50,000. He's saying it's higher, very subdued.
That's one of many significant developments in the last 48 hours. So I'd love maybe to start getting your thoughts on this breaking story, Professor.
I think U.S. casualties are significantly higher than that. And the Iranians know that the United States has lost soldiers in Kuwait. They know that for a fact. As well
How do you know that, Professor?
as in Syria, apparently. That I'm not sure about. And Trump's red lines don't mean anything to the Iranians.
This is why I want to interview him. This is why I want to interview Professor Morandi, because I want to say to him, listen, Professor, I feel like the American public, much like a lot of the countries in the Gulf, or the Persian Gulf, are not getting the full picture of what's going on. Why? How is it that you have such good intel, okay, that you're able to tell us in English, but our own governments are withholding it from us? Now, he's going to give me the Iranian party line, but I just want to know how he's finding this out. Yes, he's an advisor to the government in Iran. I get that. He probably has a security clearance because he's got to talk to, like, the foreign minister. But, like, still, who is giving him this information, and how is he confirming it?
Iranians will fight back. Trump is a child killer, and
okay, that was a little bombast.
His regime has murdered 168 little girls on the day.
I mean, so the Minab, here's the thing. America did not approach the Minab school bombing correctly. If you make a mistake, or your intel's outdated, or you miss, you just gotta say it. Because by not talking about it, every single thing the Iranians do is dedicated to those children who died in Minab. Every single thing they do. And they're not wrong. I cannot dispositively tell you that it was an American missile. I'm not a ballistic missiles expert. But I can't give you anything to say that I, like, to even counter the investigations by some of the news agencies, not by governments, by news agencies, regarding the type of missile. It was an experimental American missile. It's a new type of missile. I forget what it's called. It has a weird, like, PRISM, P-R-I-S-M maybe, and it was one of the first times it was ever fired, and it killed children. And Iran never got an apology, and that's all they really wanted. They want a lot more than that now, but it's very important to show contrition, especially in the Republic, the Iran Islamic Republic. My dear brother Ahmed on X asked that that be the English phrase. I don't know if that's like the correct, but I'll follow his request. It's very important to show contrition when you do bad things, like morally. And they're never going to get over that, in that attack on that school, until people like America apologizes.
On day one of this war, just the day before yesterday, they murdered kids again in this war, and murdered mothers and women. So American soldiers, the lives of American soldiers are not holy for the Iranians.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to consider them holy. From a strategic perspective, though, do you think that would force Trump to escalate on his side? Because a lot of people are watching, and we could link this to the next question, is the Iranians said they were trying to buy in Abu Dhabi international airports. Do you think they will carry on with that threat on striking these airports if we see bridges struck again today, like the last 2 days?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. More than that, I think the Iranians have also said that they will strike Fujairah and the Jebel Ali ports as well. I'm not quite sure, but I think those are the ports. So it's not just airports, and it's asked people to evacuate in case the United States targets civilian structures again. Because the United States has been, and through its bases in the Persian Gulf region, it's been focusing on civilian targets and murdering. And actually, the United States has been waiting for people to cross the bridges, and then they bomb the bridges. So they see a family car on the bridge. I mean, U.S. pilots, I think they are the same as Israeli pilots. They take pleasure in murdering innocent people. So they see a truck going over. These are all civilian bridges that they've destroyed, and all. Fighter
jet reported over Tehran at 4:17 a.m. 40 minutes ago. No explosions confirmed following the fighter jet over the
civilian,
Iranian
tunnels,
capital.
which link cities and villages and towns, and workers go back and forth. It's, you know, so it's clear what these pilots try to do. They wait till a car is passing and then they hit the car or the truck so that they can kill a family and take some pleasure in it.
Yikes.
Do you think, so you said that you're confident the Iranians will, and you're not saying this more of a deterrent, you genuinely believe that Iran would strike those airports, the international airports, which were struck at the peak of the war. I think that happened only once. At least once we saw, no, happened more than once, but once we saw impact on Dubai International Airport. But you think these two airports and the ports would be struck? And I'm more...
He's in Dubai, by the way. So, he's in Dubai.
More focused on the airports because that's something that was even avoided in the height of the war, where the US was bombing Iran at 10 times the scale that they're bombing them right now. But you're confident this time around that
this interview was 3 hours ago, by the way.
Will be struck if bridges are struck? Sorry for repeating the question. It's just an important.
I don't know about any. I think any civilian. I think they meant killing. The Americans have to stop targeting kids and women and men and civilian infrastructure, because again, the Americans like doing that. They love killing and slaughtering people. They take pleasure in it, just like their allies in Israel do. So the Iranians are saying enough is enough, and if you continue targeting civilians, then we will have to retaliate. That is the deterrence. Iran has waited for a week. They've been bombing women and children for a week now, the Americans, and the Iranians have shown patience, and they've just begun striking electrical plants in Kuwait and desalination plants as a warning sign, so that they know that we're serious. You have to stop killing kids. And this is not Gaza. This is not southern Lebanon. We'll hit you back very hard. And so that's how it's going to work for now.
Yeah, when I said, do you mean they will generally strike those targets not as a deterrent? What I mean is not Iran is making those threats as a deterrent. I think Iran is making those threats as a way to deter further strikes on infrastructure. I meant to ask you, as in when you say it will happen, you mean it? Because a lot of people listen to you, and sometimes I assume you say things to kind of deter or warn the Americans. So I was like, you're pretty confident though these targets will be hit, and I think you've made your point that they will be targeted. What do you make of that escalation? I was really worried on two fronts. When the Americans started bombing the bridges, first worries, I know that the Iranians would possibly or likely retaliate in striking Gulf energy infrastructure, Gulf infrastructure. And second is the lack of coverage this has gotten. When one bridge got struck months ago, everyone was up in arms, which is a good thing because that means there'll be a lot of pushback against it. Now, the complacency is very worrying. It feels like people have moved on, similar to the Ukraine war. That's concerning. So, twofold question, maybe more getting your thoughts on this, what I consider a new chapter in this war, striking infrastructure, desalination plants struck in Iran and struck in Kuwait. And the second question is, do you feel that same level of kind of the normalization of this new phase of the war?
Well, first I should point out that in the past, whenever I warned, I was always serious. And we saw, for example, after I gave that warning, that the Iranians struck the oil installations in Doha, near Doha, Qatar. And the Iranians during the 40-day war were very serious. And that is what caused the Americans to pull back, and the US and the Israeli regimes decrease the number of critical infrastructure, the amount of critical infrastructure that they would target. So if in that war they had continued down that course, down that route, without a doubt, Iran would have gone after the rest of the critical infrastructure in the Persian Gulf region. I mean, so everything that I said is not just, I say it to deter the Americans from moving in that foolish direction, because as I said, the Americans have no sense of morality. They lack that. They're like Zionists. And I don't mean the
All right,
people,
there's a little bombast.
the armed forces, the regime. They are barbaric. So the Iranians have to be tough. Again, we're not Gaza. They can't just slaughter our women and children and get away with it and take pleasure in it. And they can't do it like they do it in Lebanon. Here, they're going to be smashed in the face. And so
I think Iran's about to launch rockets.
Right now,
I'm just saying, the Iranian chatter. Listen, do you want me to read to you what the Iranian sources on the ground are saying? Let me read you the last tweets from the Iranian sources, who mostly just report explosions. One of them says 13 minutes ago, rockets, rockets, rockets. The next one says rockets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 30 times. It's just a post that says the word rockets 30 times in a row. I'm going to guess they're firing rockets. I'll stay with you for like an hour. I told you 10 o'clock, then I'm going to bed. I got to do the interview tomorrow with attorney Melanie Little. It's going to be fascinating, which means I got to get up early. Got to drink caffeine, read legal documents, think about things, be somewhat cogent, and then have fun discussing things with the cupcakes. So you got me for 1 hour max. But yeah, I'm going to guess they're launching rockets.
The countries in the Persian Gulf that you are complicit. You are killing our kids. You are killing our women. You are killing our young men. You are destroying our infrastructure. You're destroying the tomorrow of our children. You continue with this, and we'll deal with you. It's clear as day, and they're going to do it. I think we've all been seeing how the Iranians have been firing missiles and drones over the last week. And Mario, just so to remind your audience, Iran did not start the war. Iran did not restart the war. Iran did not initiate any escalation, and Iran did not target civilians. It's the other side. During the war, the 40 days, the Ramadan war, the Americans and the Israelis killed 3,500 Iranians. In the Persian Gulf, according to their own numbers, collectively less than 20 people died. What does that mean? It means that Iran shows high regard for civilians, and its enemies show no regard for civilians. So the Iranians are saying enough is enough. We will give.
I didn't think about that. We did only claim less than 20 people killed.
A punishing response. And so 2 American soldiers, 3 American soldiers, 20 American soldiers. Iran will try to kill as many soldiers as it can.
Oh, God.
If the Americans try to kill as many Iranian soldiers as they can. So again, the American soldiers are not holy. They're, if anything, it's the Iranian soldiers who are the saints here, because they're defending the country that's the victim. And it was the MOU, the United States, that violated and tore up the MOU effectively. They basically violated every single article. They refused to force the Israelis to leave Lebanon. They added new sanctions, another violation of the deal. They refused to return Iran's stolen assets. That was supposed to happen on day one. They continued to make threats against Iranians, the country, the leaders. That's in the MOU. That's a violation. They reimposed the sanctions on the oil sector after just a few days, another violation. They created a route for ships in violation of Article 5 in order to undermine Iran's authority in the Strait. And Iran warned them repeatedly not to do it, and warned the Saudis, the Emiratis, the Kuwaitis not to use that corridor. They did it on purpose to undermine Iran's authority over the Strait, which was something which both sides accepted in Article 5. So they violated that too. Then the United States attacked Iran, another violation, and they reimposed the siege. So the Americans have violated everything. It's the Iranians who are victims from the beginning to now. But now the Iranians are saying, look, you've been bombing our bridges, you've been bombing our citizens, we've just been bombing your bases because we're humane. But since you're not going to stop, and since your European allies are fine with this, and since your regional partners are all good with this, we're going to have to retaliate. And so they began with some light attacks on Kuwait, and now they're saying enough is enough. So if these Arab regimes in the Persian Gulf wants to be badly beaten, they can continue facilitating US assaults on civilians. If they don't want to be badly beaten, then the best thing to do is to tell the Americans that this is not acceptable.
All right, so I've got more questions than I usually do to you, Professor. There's a lot that I want to get your thoughts on. Let's start with the developments in the last 3 days. So Iran's been bombing Kuwait and Bahrain and Jordan very heavily. An interesting observation is the restraint when it comes to the UAE. What can you tell us about this? I'll tell you my assumptions, and I haven't spoken.
It's so interesting to listen to this because you must understand this is what the Iranians would be saying. This is what they were actually saying in Islamabad. Forget all the noise from the U.S. administration. This is what he's in the delegation for the Iranians, the professor here, Professor Morandi. This is what they were actually saying. So it's fascinating to think about it and think about the actual technical talks that they were trying to have compared to what the U.S. administration was saying was being discussed.
People privately, I haven't really done much outside the interviews recently, so this is pure speculation. But my guess is, from what I was told weeks and weeks ago, is that the Emiratis, there's been a lot of diplomacy between the Emiratis and Iranians. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I think there's been also an exchange of funds. I think the unfreezing of.
Sorry about that. Remember, we got to go back. I didn't mean to click away from the interview. I wanted to actually pause it. 1 second.
Kuwaitis,
so I wanted to pause it to say something important.
And I usually do to you, Professor.
Which is that Mario's in Dubai. He's in the UAE. So he's got to be careful. That government, they're okay if you have a lot of influence, but you got to be careful. So he's trying to be like, listen, is the reason why the UAE and Iran are not firing that much at each other, although it's started to the threats have started again. Did you all make a side deal, and did the UAE pay Iran?
There's been a lot of diplomacy between the Emiratis and Iranians. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I think there's been also an exchange of funds. I think the unfreezing of assets, some business deals, something the Emiratis have done to reduce the amount of attacks on the country. Because in the last couple of weeks, Saudi was attacked yesterday, which I'll ask you, I can maybe mix that into the question as well. Saudi and Yanbu was attacked yesterday, but the Emirates has not been attacked maybe once since the ceasefire. Kuwait, Bahrain, Jordan have been pummeled, and even Qatar. So I'll put them all together. Can you give me your thoughts on the targeting strategy by the Iranians?
Well, Iran has been negotiating with all of these countries over the past couple of months, and the Iranians were hoping that they would push to help bring the MOU or push the MOU towards in a positive direction. And they did it. And as I said, they actually participated in pushing, and they forced their own ships to go through the American corridor, even though the Iranians had warned them not to do that. So, but during the past couple of months, there have been ups and downs with different countries, and with the Emiratis, there was some progress. Yes, a delegation soon after a few weeks ago, an Iranian delegation, I don't remember the dates, but an Iranian delegation went there, and they had significant progress in the relationship. It may have to do with funds and stolen assets and frozen assets and that sort of thing, but probably other things as well. But the problem is that when their territory is being used by the Americans to strike Iran, the Iranians can no longer close their eyes. Most of the attacks on Iran have been, the focus has been from Kuwait and Jordan and Bahrain. Bahrain, a lot of U.S. assets that are, as well as Kuwait, U.S. assets that have been brought to the region, from my understanding, to launch a ground offensive. Most of the equipment is in Bahrain and.
Oh, is he really saying this? They think that he thinks that there's going to be a ground invasion?
Kuwait. So that is one reason why the strikes.
He is not. I think you're probably listening. He's a little bombastic, and obviously, I think anyone whose countryman would be killed, or is killed, would be bombastic about it. Frankly, I get bombastic when U.S. soldiers get killed, or etc. I get very mad if you killed the U.S. like an animal or civilian. I would get very mad. But so you can understand why he is mad. But he's also not a crazy person. He is literally part of the negotiating delegation, so he's kind of switches from this like bombastic rhetoric to analysis, and he's like, yeah, I think like a lot of these supply routes in Bahrain that Iran's hitting, it's because the U.S. is about to do a ground invasion. Excuse me, what? Listen how casually he said
heavy. Equipment is in Bahrain and in Kuwait. So that is one reason why the strikes are heavy against these two countries. Another, in the case of Kuwait, is that a lot of strikes on Iran are initiated from Kuwait. And Oman, Jordan has been playing a very, very destructive role in this and basically a proxy of both the Israeli regime and the United States throughout this entire period since the war of aggression against Iran began.
What do you make of the strike on Saudi yesterday? That was a bit of a surprise to some. Is that just going up the escalation ladder because of the infrastructure being struck in Iran?
And also because the Saudi airspace and Saudi air bases are being used against Iran. Again, Iran doesn't want this to happen. Iran waited a full week. As the MOU was being implemented, basically by Iran, the Saudis and the Emiratis and the Kuwaitis, they refused to cooperate with Iran, and they cooperated with Trump in undermining the MOU. Then, over the past week, despite repeated warnings from Iran, they continued to allow their territory to be used against Iran, and of course, not just military bases. Iran would have had much less problem with that. We've been going back and forth with the Americans for a few days, and I think it's clear that the Iranians have had the upper hand. But the Americans are going after civilians, and these countries are responsible, and the Iranian government is responsible for Iranian civilians. So I think Iran has done the moral thing. Iranians are very angry, very angry. Even now, when the government says, when the armed forces says, we will now retaliate, they're saying you should have done it 4 days ago. You should have done it 3 days ago. So people are not jumping up and down with joy. They're saying this is long delayed. So in any case, the government has shown restraint because it does not want civilians to be targeted. And if we go again, going back to what I said before, 3,500 Iranians were murdered. Less than 20 died across the Persian Gulf region. So that
did you hear what he just said? They are showing restraint.
Shows that the Iranians were careful and the other side didn't care.
Well, the counter argument is the reason that there's less casualties on the Gulf is because of the air defenses and the interception rate. I'm not making this argument. I'm just kind of presenting the other argument that is made. My position is that I think both sides prefer no civilian casualties. I just don't think each side is aiming to kill civilians. I know we had a disagreement a few weeks ago.
No, that's not true. I mean, I've witnessed how they've targeted civilians. That's just complete nonsense. Anything that they've said in that regard is a complete lie. they would they would bring down entire buildings to get a former foreign minister. They brought down 2 buildings to get a former foreign minister, a 75, 80-year-old man. His home and his office. And they killed many people just to kill him. And they killed him. It was martyred. And they've done this.
The Israelis or the Americans?
Both. I mean, look at the Americans have been targeting bridges during the past few days, and they would wait till cars would be crossing the bridges, and then they bomb.
But the bridges were struck, from what I understand, and I don't want to be defending those actions because I'm very critical of these this escalation and the striking of infrastructure. The fact that we're back here is just upsetting but mind-boggling to me. But putting that aside, the bridges, because I was covering this closely, were struck in the middle of the night. If you want to have max casualties, it would be in the midst of daytime at peak hours.
No, I think the Americans in general carry out their strikes at night because of the immense heat. But I mean, just look at the targets. These are bridges that connect cities to one another. Yeah. These are.
I don't condone this at all. So
they bombed the area, the children's hospital in Ahvaz. Which was for cancer patients. They bombed all around it. The children were terrified. They had to empty the hospital. I mean, these people have no. I mean, let's just look at Gaza. Just look at Lebanon. The Americans and the entire West was behind it. I mean, or the school in Minab. It was on day one. It was clear that they targeted the school. There was no mistake. That school was there for years. It was on all the maps. It was on all the apps. And it was day one. There was no there was no fog of war. That target was seen for long. What they wanted to do was, because that school was close to a naval base, a lot of the students were the children of officers. They wanted to teach those officers a lesson. That's how the Americans work.
Whoa!
Shock and awe. Remember that?
Yeah. Look, we had the discussion about the school.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that what they didn't tell us this whole time was the school that they hit in Minab was a school that was mostly attended by children of Iranian naval officers? Ugh. That better not be true.
It was not intentional. If it's intentional, I'd be very shocked. But
why? Why would you be shocked? Weren't American forces in Gaza? Didn't American forces go to Gaza and build that? What was it? That pier? And we know that the Americans and the Israelis are joined to the hip, and they have no sense of morality. Zero.
Well, Sean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I just don't think the Iranians have the PRISM missile. It's too new. It's never been fired.
But the problem is that Iran is a unique country. Iran will hit back. We're not intimidated. They can kill us. They can fire a missile at my home. We're not scared. We will beat them back, and we will defeat them.
He's in a bunker. He is absolutely in a bunker. He's not in a home.
And we will make sure that the United States loses this war. Have no doubt about it. Come what may, we will defeat the United States. Because we're not Saudi Arabia. We're not Turkey.
Whoa.
We're not Egypt. We're not Pakistan. This is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And there is not a chance in this world that Trump will come out on top.
Just my last point on this one. I know that there's different rules of engagement between the Israelis and the Americans. I covered it extensively, spoke to military personnel about it. But I do agree that what Israel does, the reason they get away with it and they do what they do, including in Gaza, is because of the impunity that they have from that unconditional support by the Americans. So the Americans definitely play a massive role in what the Israelis are doing.
So if they give unconditional support, that means they support these crimes. Lindsey Graham, when he says that nuke them, that means that these people, their moral values are the same as those of the Zionists, meaning non-existent.
Yeah, don't get me started on people like Ben Gvir and Lindsey Graham and others like them and the things they've said. Well, since we're talking about officials making statements, there is the video by Farish News about how to kill the president, how to kill Trump, and it goes through the various routes that he takes on his way to the White House. I haven't watched it. I saw clips of it. But essentially, it's a guide on how to assassinate Trump.
Why would that
There's
be
also a
put out?
billboard with Trump in a coffin, I think.
All right.
The and it will Rezai and anti-Biden Trump targeted. Much of this is propaganda, or how much of it is
I didn't know
genuinely
Fars did that.
wanting to kill the president
That's
or Netanyahu
terrible.
and his family. Not sure if you saw that report from I think Channel 13 and Ynet. But how serious are those threats?
Well, there have been lots of journalists in Tehran during the funerals and in other Iranian cities. And the crowds, I don't think we need to go over that. Tens of millions of people. In Tehran alone, 15, 16 million people. And in Mashhad, and then in Iran. And I was in the funeral in Tehran, and people were chanting for revenge. And this was before Ayatollah Khamenei said anything. And this was before others were saying it. People were saying it. So there's real outrage in Iran. And I told you this before, that contrary to all the fake narratives in the West about, and you and I have had this discussion. I told you many times, or at least multiple times, or I read in your tweets, I responded to you and said that the Islamic Republic of Iran has a very high degree of popular support, far greater than Western regimes. And the depth of that support is very deep, far deeper than what you see in the West. And in the past, whenever we would see these huge crowds protesting, for example, against the Western instigated riots, the West instigated riots, the Western backed riots, the Western funded riots, the Western armed rioters. Afterwards, we saw those huge crowds in across the country, and then they said, Mr. Musk is X. They said this is AI, and then Western journalists would say this is AI. And this was so huge that no one could hide it. You can't hide it. There's nothing to compare it with in history, not in Iran, anywhere. So people were outraged, and people want revenge. So I think the moral lesson here is that Americans shouldn't kill foreign leaders. And
yes, Classic Clippy, absolutely. But behind the man speaking is the IRGC and the political class. He is part of the delegation. So he's using propaganda and his opinion, absolutely. But what we're reading into this is, what was he sitting like at a table 4 hours before this? He was saying probably to the IRGC and to the Supreme Leader's advisors, listen, I'm going on Mario Narfahal's show. They probably had a little discussion, and they all ran through the talking points. That's why this is the only English insight into the Iranian delegation. Professor Morandi's interviews, he does do a few of them. He speaks English, so he does a lot, but he mostly speaks to Middle Eastern channels, Al Mayadeen, etc., etc. Occasionally he does Western interviews. He did one 3 hours ago, very sort of opportune timing, and that's why I'm rewatching it. But yes, it's his opinion, but he's the only fluent English speaker in the Iranian negotiating delegation. So he's very close to the Iranian government. He's our only real way to have an extended look into the psyche of the Iranian government.
And if you see that these people are calling for the death of Trump, it's because Trump murdered
yes,
Iranian
Jack
leaders
Darby,
and Iranian
everyone's
children.
a mod. That way you can't be censored by other people.
When you
so welcome
kidnap
to the
presidents and you murder others, maybe you can get
Can't really do anything with it.
A
But,
rabble
you know.
rouser can get his supporters.
This professor was born initially in America. I didn't know that. No, I think you're thinking about Dr. Casagranda Kono Tree. I could be wrong, but I think you might be thinking about Dr. Roy Casagranda. He also is an expert on Iran. This is Professor Morandi, who I don't believe was born in Texas, because they would never allow an American-born anything to be part of the Iranian negotiating delegation. This man is a professor of English literature at Tehran University and happens to speak fluent English. Roy Casagranda is married to an Iranian academic, and Roy Casagranda, I think he might be in the Middle East now. He was in Iran for a bit. Now I think he might have moved somewhere on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. I don't know. But he has a home in Tehran too. That Professor Casagranda is excellent. I've listened to a lot of his lectures. He did get his PhD in Texas. He was born there, and then he moved to the Middle East, and specifically to Iran, where he is one of the foremost English language speaking experts in the United States on Iran. 845 Barrett, so good to see you. Morandi was born in Virginia. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. I had no idea that. Well, first of all, I'm wondering how he got into the Kono Tree. That's fascinating. So I wonder if we were both thinking of Dr. Casagranda, or if you were just thinking of both. But either way, I'm shocked. I cannot believe Professor Morandi was born in the United States. I'm shocked they would let him into the Iranian delegation, having been born here. I'll have to look more into his history. Thank you so much, though, to Paul Sar and Kono Tree and 845 Bear, and of course to who was the initial person, Kono Tree, for bringing that up. I had no idea. That blows my mind. A member of the Iranian negotiating delegation was born in the United States. Even me, I study this stuff very closely. I've listened to a lot of his interviews. I had no idea he was born in the United States. None.
All excited about it, but when it comes to Iran, you're going to get.
I'm just shocked that they would trust, the Iranians would trust someone born on U.S. soil with such a delicate role in the negotiations.
Just like they get punished on the battlefield, you're going to see Iranians demand revenge. You see, the thing is that the United States is not an exceptional country. It thinks it's exceptional. It's not. For an Iranian, there's nothing exceptional about the United States. It's just another ordinary country. So if, let's say, a neighboring country assassinated an Iranian leader, you would say, the Iranians would say, well, we have to retaliate. In this case, they're saying the U.S. president assassinated an Iranian leader. They're demanding for retaliation and revenge. It's absolutely normal. It's not something that should shock anyone in the United States. The only reason why it shocks them is because they think that they are the master race. It's sort of like Zionism. Not as exactly like Zionism, but there are striking similarities. We are exceptional. So we have extra privileges. So we invade countries, we destroy them, and then we walk away. And we can argue whether it was a good policy or a bad policy. But that country is destroyed, who cares? That's not going to work with Iran. Iran will hit back at all levels. So I think the sense, I know that the sense or the feeling among Iranians that revenge is necessary is very strong. And it is a deterrence. It makes the Americans and the Israeli regime think twice about killing people and leaders and children in future, because Iran is the only country that is willing to push back. Even as we speak now, do you see a country condemning the United States for its attacks on Iran? Do you see Turkey condemning it, Egypt condemning it, Pakistan condemning it, Saudi Arabia condemning it, the British, the French, the Canadians? No, because they're all in the American camp. They're all proxies of the empire. So, but Iran is not. Iran is an independent country that is willing to take a stand for its rights. And of course, it is guilty because it says no to genocide. And that's basically, fundamentally, our problem with the United States is that we oppose ethnic cleansing, we oppose genocide, we oppose apartheid, and the United States, the West, and their proxies in the region either support it or condone it or tolerate it.
Boaz, here, his political analysis aside, it's 5 a.m. in Iran. It's 5 a.m. The sun is up. Nothing has happened all night. There's no way. There's no way, Mr. President, simply just let them, the Iranians, kill American soldiers. Something's not right. It's morning time now. You're watching the sunrise over, the Middle East. I told you got me till 10 p.m. Eastern. I heard what I needed to from Professor Morandi. He's very mad. He's better on 1.5 speed. G Reaper, we can try that. But I'm shocked. I'm stunned. I don't know if this is some kind of bluff by the U.S. administration. I can't tell you what's going on right now. This is very out of the norm for American policy, for American approach to, attacking our troops.
So on the assassination, before we go back to this whether the Americans are going to strike the bridges today and whether the airports will be struck, just on that assassination, I like that you mentioned deterrence, because I think there's a strategic reason they're doing this, because the Americans would think twice now about killing Iranian leaders if the Iranians are like, hey, we're going to target you guys, and they're probably focusing heavily on Trump, because this is something that obviously bothers Trump. When that report came out that the Iranians were discussing, two Iranian leaders were discussing potentially the death of killing Trump, I don't know whether that report is true or not, but immediately Trump talked about it in Ankara, took the older Air Force One, because it was more secure, talked about it again the next day. So obviously it has some sort of impact. Now the question is what type of impact it would have. Will it deter him from killing Iranian leaders because he doesn't want to be targeted now or in the future after he's no longer president, or his family? Or will he double down on targeting the Iranian leadership that is making those threats? So that's something I've been thinking a lot about in the last 2 weeks. So I'd love you to get your thoughts on this, but also whether you think it could become Iranian policy to actually assassinate or try to assassinate the president as a way to build deterrence against future presidents, because every 4 years there's a new, 4 8 years there's a new president, future presidents or American leaders or foreign leaders from killing Iranian leaders. Another decapitation strike like we saw a few weeks ago.
Well, what the Iranians are saying is not just the president, it's everyone who was part of the decision-making process and those who carried out the process. So it's pilots, it's the generals, it's those who were part of the decision-making process who supported it. It's anyone who was a part of these atrocities. So it's not just Trump. He's, as you said earlier, he and Netanyahu are at the top of the list. Now, I don't know if Trump sleeps well at night. I really don't care. But if the United States escalates, the Iranians will escalate. And this time around, I think the Iranians are far more prepared for war than ever before. I think people have seen that how the last week the Iranians have been hitting very, very hard and very accurately targets across the region, whether in Jordan, whether in Syria, whether in Iraq, whether in Oman, or the other countries in the Persian Gulf. So it is, if the United States escalates, the Iranians have the will and the means to escalate. And I think that we're just one step away from the complete destruction of the infrastructure across the Persian Gulf. We're very close. We're very close. And the Iranians have said that they will do that. Again, the Iranians did not start the war. I have to repeat this often. The Iranians did not violate the MOU. In fact, if Trump was violating the MOU, the Iranians still allowed ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz. And by now, the first month would have been over, and we would have been in the second month. And so shipping through the Strait of Hormuz would have been almost normalized. But he just couldn't accept that. He knew that the Iranians got a good deal because Iran won the war. And he felt that the best way was for him to just use the MOU as a tool to gain victory, which of course failed. But the Iranians are more prepared today for a decisive war than ever before. They've been, ever since the ceasefire, they've been preparing. They've been building, expanding underground missile bases, drone bases, developing new technology, improving their missiles, improving their drones, bringing in new models. They have more than enough missiles and drones for a very, very long war. But they used the MOU because they knew that the Americans would violate it and undermine it. No one in Iran believed that the Americans, and the United States discussed this, no one really believed the Americans would let this move forward. The Zionists would never allow it. So the Iranians immediately, when the MOU was signed, they exported tens of millions of barrels of oil and imported their needs so that they could be prepared for the coming weeks and months. So Iran is prepared for war. Iran is prepared for escalation. I don't like war. You will find, there are few people who you will find who dislike war. I fought in war since the age of 16 as a volunteer. I volunteered and I had to go through a test and an exam just to get trained because of my age. I've been to Syria many times. I saw what ISIS and Al-Qaeda did in Syria. I've been to Lebanon. I've seen what the Israelis did. I was in Iraq. I was in Iraq when Mosul was liberated. I went on the following.
Wait, he joined the Bashi at age 16 after being born in America? This guy's got a fascinating life story.
Okay. I've seen death and destruction, and I hate war. And I've seen our But, and I was in Beirut when Sayyid Hassan was marching. Few people have seen war in different countries as much as I have. I hate it. However, we are prepared for war. We don't want war, but we will fight war. If it's imposed upon us, we'll fight. And the Americans are miscalculating at every level and every time. And they're doing it because the Israelis want them to. They're destroying the global economy because the Zionist lobby wants them to. But again, I'm repeating myself, but I think this is important because we are in a very decisive moment in contemporary history. If the United States pushes, then they will bring about destruction that will have consequences for your children, your grandchildren, my grandchildren, and everyone who's watching this video. It will change the world because he will bring about an economic collapse worse than the 1930s. And with today's population, global population, and with AI and all the technologies that exist today, chaos under these circumstances and economic collapse would have consequences far, far worse than the 1930s. And we know what the 1930s led to.
Well, Trump himself knows. He said he doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover, which is so bizarre that we are where we are. It's just so... I didn't expect this. The same way when we spoke before this war started, I was surprised when you told me... I remember we spoke during and after the 12-day war, and you said to me after the 12-day war, Mario, the war's not over. I'm like, okay, Professor's fear-mongering. Okay, it's fine. For me, there's no way it's going to continue. And then the fact that it happened again, that shook me. And then the fact that... Because I wasn't surprised when the MOU was signed and Trump walked back his threats to wipe out his civilization. For us to be back here now, for bridges to be struck, and for us to be back to making threats against the Emirati airports, striking the Kuwaiti water and energy infrastructure in retaliation for Iranian water and energy infrastructure bridges being struck, it's insane that we are here. And the next question is to try to understand how far this will go. And I'm going to ask you to speculate. Why do you think Trump is doing this? Without going like he's an evil man that just wants to see kids die. From a strategic perspective, what is he thinking?
Well, I say that, but I do believe he's indifferent. I do believe he's indifferent. But I think that...
Is he trying to get a concession? Yeah, I had your many times on a weekly basis. Is he trying to get a concession so Iran doesn't charge a fee at the Strait of Hormuz? Is that all he's trying to do, which is good news, means someone will blink? It's a matter of time. Or do you think he made up his mind on something you warned me about a while ago, which I also probably shouldn't have dismissed, but I did, that there'll be a ground operation, because you mentioned Bahrain and Kuwait. So do you think a ground operation is genuinely on the table? Because that sounds like freaking mental. That's just insane if it's really being considered.
A ground operation is indeed mental. It is crazy and it would fail. But the bombing that they're carrying out, according to Iranian military officials, is being done as if they're preparing for ground attacks. So the targets and all that, it's basically to prepare the ground prepare the area, the region for ground attacks. Now, it's crazy because it would fail, but also because you live in the Emirates and the weather and the humidity is just beyond imagination for ordinary people who have never been to that part of the world. It's just, I don't know if it's even possible. And I've spoken to a couple of senior former American military officers and said, look, I think this is not, this weather is just not the time. And they both said they agree that it's not the time. But the way in which the strikes are being carried out is to prepare the ground for ground defense. Does that mean he's going to actually do it? I don't know, but it is possible. But
I hope he's bluffing.
Yeah, I don't think this is just about fees, which Iran will take. I mean, that's the decision that's been made. But and he himself said he wants to take fees, but at all. But that aside, Joe Kent, I think, said it best, and that is that why did this war start in the first place? It was because of the Israeli regime, the Zionist lobby. And then if you go to Tucker Carlson, he said very clearly.
No, well, listen, I think it started. If you want my opinion, I think this war started, and I would say I'm an expert on the Epstein files. I think it started because the U.S. aristocracy was literally going to collapse if the public didn't take its attention off the Epstein files. Some really powerful people were going to go down. And so it wasn't Mr. President. It was the aristocracy. Like the Rothschild people, the Rockefellers, like all these like people who think they're better than everyone else because their grandfather's sister-in-law went to some like oil well and they bought like a newspaper 150 years ago and they have 77 mansions and whatever and they have a taste for God knows what. Those people, okay, they are the ones I think who went to Mr. President and said, you got to do this. You got to do it. Use Bibi as cover, whatever you got to do. You got to do this. And I think even the people who opposed Mr. President gave a wink and a nod and were like, yeah, this is the best way to make that go away. Is it going to go away? No. Iran was probably sitting there like, what in God's name is going on? Why'd they pick us? The better solution, my opinion, would have been to Watergate it. Like I said from the beginning, to make Brian Tully's state police unit and Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan, like, make them fall on the sword for the entire Epstein class. That'd be great. God bless you, G Reaper. It's so good to see you, my friend. I hope you've been well. It's my honor to have you with me today. And of course, once I saw your request earlier, I had to take us through the night coverage. I'm just waiting for the CENTCOM statement before 10 p.m. that the strikes are over. No ballistic missiles launched from Iran. Very limited strikes by the U.S. Very limited.
He argued with Trump and told him that he would fail. And Trump, you know what he said. And Trump basically knew that, and but he did it anyway. So how do you put these together, and what sort of conclusions do you draw? The only thing I can think of is that he's compromised, because even the hundreds of millions of dollars that the Zionist lobby have given to him, you don't go and destroy everything because of that. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not saying for sure. But I think he's compromised. I think that's the best way to interpret it. Although Tucker Carlson says he doesn't believe this to be the case,
He's hinting at it. He's compromised, but not in the way he thinks.
but that's the best way to interpret his actions. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I have to admit something. Don't be too upset, Professor, but because when you always mention that it's Israel that's leading to this, I thought it's like building a rhetoric, because the Iranians keep mentioning it as well. And it's a smart way to get the American voters, it's capitalizing on the anger in the US against Israel. And that's why the Iranians keep targeting Israel, blaming Israel for this. I'm sure they play a role. But I remember Tucker as well. Funny enough, when me and Tucker were speaking, we were doing an interview. It was while we were doing the interview that Trump, I think the Axios call was leaked about Trump's cursing at Netanyahu and stuff. I think that's what leaked. But Tucker seems to share pessimism. He does not believe in the rhetoric change with J.D. Vance and Trump. But we action that doesn't fit narrative. The F-35s to Turkey's one, not allowing the Israelis to keep striking Beirut and southern Lebanon. Southern Lebanon is being struck, but 95% or 90% less than what it was before the ceasefire. So there is a change there. Netanyahu not being able to even get a meeting with Trump, and all these negative things about Netanyahu and Trump and Netanyahu and the relationship being leaked to Axios with the intention to show.
I think much bigger changes are actually taking place. I think the fact that the military budget was is in trouble, has been blocked by the Democrats, despite their
the Section 224.
Yes, but the whole budget has been it hasn't been approved, and the fact that half of U.S. Democrats in the House oppose funding the Israeli regime their annual $3.1 billion military assistance. This is a sea change that's taking place. Even
half of the Democrats, but half of the Democrats is only 100 of the 400 representatives.
Even, and now you say that the Iranians say this, which the Iranians don't talk about Israel because they want to influence U.S. elections. That's not how Iran works. However, what is interesting is the way Vance has been talking and saying that basically saying that the elements within the Israeli establishment, they are trying to undermine my attempts to bring about the peace deal. So he is sort of using the Israelis as a means to gain popularity. So it's not Iran that does it, but I think Vance is doing it. And that just shows how the Israeli regime has viewed among ordinary people, to their immense credit, and to the immense credit of young American Jews. Because young American Jews face two levels of propaganda. The Americans are the most propagandized people in the world. The American Jews get double propaganda. They get it from the media, but they also get it from the Zionists in their own community, which are very powerful force. But now we see that, according to polls, I heard once that Jews in the United States under the age of 35, almost half of them believe Palestinians and Jews should live side by side as equals. That's the one-state solution. That just shows that these young people have a strong sense of morality. And of course, the voting patterns we saw in the primary combination with Democrats and we saw the election of the mayor, if you want. So things are changing in the United States much more rapidly than I would ever expect it. I did not expect to see any of this in my lifetime.
There's explosions in Syria now, so and it's non-stop. Let's just hope they're not targeting bridges for obvious reasons.
Well, any attack is aggression. Any attack is
exactly. Obviously,
and the murder of a soldier is murder.
The last thing I want to ask you about, or two things to get your thoughts on. The number one is let's get the easy one out, the Pakistani warning, and then the last one is the Ahmadinejad story. So the Pakistani warning, the Pakistanis have warned Iran yesterday, I think it was, that any attack on Saudi is an attack on Pakistan. Can't remember who from Pakistan issued the warning, whether it was official or not. I'm not sure if you've seen it. But you've also been critical of Pakistan slightly here and there in this conversation. What's the latest with Pakistan, and how's the relationship? Has anything happened, or are they still a good mediator with good relations with Iran?
I don't recall criticizing Pakistan in this conversation.
No, I felt it when you said that Pakistan did not criticize the US for the two things you said. One, I forgot one.
No one does. I mean, there are no exceptions to the rule. It's basically the axis of resistance that's standing up against the empire and against the genocide. No one else is standing up against it. It's pretty clear. But I have not heard of any Pakistani warning, and I don't think Pakistanis issue a warning, because if the Saudis allow their territory to be used against Iran, they will pay the consequences, and there's no doubt about that. So Saudi Arabia will have to, and the Emirates and Kuwait will have to think very carefully in the hours ahead, because Iran will not tolerate them killing our women and children. I mean, I have not seen any official warning by anyone, but Iran is not afraid of the empire. It's not going to be afraid of any children. So things I have not heard. I don't believe I've heard any. I don't believe such a statement has been issued. But you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it was official. Maybe it was a diplomat speaking off the cuff. And the last one I want to ask you is the Ahmadinejad story. So the story is that I think you'll be denying it, but the story is that Ahmadinejad met with Mossad in Europe a couple of occasions. Now, Ahmadinejad is someone who was obviously the former president. Then he had a fallout with the IRGC, and they barred him from running on 2 occasions. Now, allegedly, he met with Mossad, and then he was part of a plot to take power during this war. And then the security buildings around his compound were struck on day one of the war. A car took him to a secret location, but then for some reason it's a bit blurry that he escaped. Now, I found the story difficult to believe, but it kept being discussed. It seemed like something leaked by Israel to cause division or paranoia within Iran. But I spoke to Alan Ayer earlier today. He said to me that he's a bit split. He finds the story difficult to believe, but he also respects the journalist that wrote it. So he's a bit, I don't know if it was 50-50, I can't remember. Could there be any truth, or you're very confident from this work that it's definitely not true?
Well, I don't have that sort of confidence that he has in the journalist or the journal. But there are a number of things. First of all, there's no falling out with the IRCG. And one myth that we constantly see in the West, and this is something that Vance also said. He said there's two factions in Iran, the hardliners and the moderates. And the hardliners, they want to fire missiles, and listen to how the country works. The IRGC, the army, the armed forces, they don't have the authority to fire a bullet on their own. If they have a mandate, it's given to them by the Supreme National Security Council. And the Supreme National Security Council, its decisions have to be approved by the leader. So there's no IRCG or anything like that. That's whether it's with regards to what Vance was saying, like the IRR fired missiles and other. No. If anyone fires missiles, there's a reason for it, and it's been decided that those ships that violate the MOU, knowingly, despite repeated warnings, and to their owners and to the US government, that they've been given a mandate. Whether it's the IRCG to strike those ships, or whether it's the army to strike those ships, it doesn't make a difference. That's A. B, when it comes to Ahmadinejad denying him to stand for election or whatever it was that he said, That's not a decision made by the IRCG. The election process is
National
completely.
Council.
No, there's a council for that, the Guardian Council, but that's, I don't want to get into the election law. But what I want to say is that let's imagine that the story is true. First of all, would a former president of Iran, or any country that has status, would they just be traveling abroad without an entourage, without diplomats accompanying them, without people from the embassy accompanying them? That's not, I mean, they're not like, if I travel to abroad, I get off the plane, if the host university has invited me to probably send a car, otherwise I'd have to get taxi, I go to the hotel, to the dorm, that's how it works for me, because I'm not an official. But if a former president travels abroad, I have no doubt that the ambassador will be accompanying, the Iranian ambassador to that country will be accompanying him, or staff from the embassy will be accompanying him from the beginning to the end of his trip. How is he going to meet Mossad agents? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Also, if he was courted by the Mossad, or if they had, let's say, hypothetically, turned him into an agent of sorts, why would they give that information to the media? Why would they tell the New York Times? Basically, what the New York Times is telling us, and the Mossad, let's say, if they're behind it, is that all potential spies of the Israeli regime should be now very careful that if they start working for the Mossad, their names would come out in the media at any time in the future. That's the way to deter anyone from cooperating with the Mossad or the CIA or any other intelligence agency. Thank you very much. I think the Iranian government will be thankful for that sort of advertisement.
Yeah. First, I just look at the news. This video coming out of that strike in Jordan killed the U.S. servicemen came out. But we don't have any information on what's being struck right now in Syria. The strikes are just happening as we speak, so we'll probably find out about targets later. I'd like to wrap up a quick one-line question. What would you give it as odds that the bridges will be struck in the next 48 hours? Again, speculation here, but what would you say is the likelihood?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I don't know.
Can you be optimistic for once?
Well, you know, as you right after the 12-day war, I said we started. This last time we talked, I think I was skeptical about the future as well. But at some point, yeah, but I'm skeptical about the United States. I think that this war is going to continue. It is not going to end well. What I can say is that it's not going to end well for the United States and for its proxies. And, you know, the smart thing for countries to do would be just to tell the United States that we're not a part of this anymore. That's all they have to do. If the Emirates just put out a statement tonight and said the Americans no longer have the right to use our territory for anything, it'll be over for them. If Kuwait tonight put out a statement that we are done with this, the Americans must leave and we just want to live in peace, it'll be over. It's up to them. So they have collaborated with the Americans. They can't complain about Iranian retaliation. And when the Americans start killing Iranian civilians and destroying Iranian infrastructure, they're complicit. And Iran waited for moral reasons. If it was any other country, I know, you know, sometimes you tweet things about Iran, but if it was any other country but Iran, they would not have waited a week to retaliate. They would have immediately gone after these countries. But Iran waited and waited and waited, and now they're saying, look, enough is enough. You're killing our people, and our people are out.
Wow. Okay. So, for in a very odd development, after the most serious Iranian escalation of this war, especially in the past 40 days, 50 days, Iran killed multiple U.S. service members on Friday in Jordan, probably more than 2. It is 5 in the morning in Iran, and I am going to play your goat video, and then I'm going to take a nap, and I'll be up eventually. I have a big day tomorrow. I'm going to do an interview with attorney Melanie Little. Feel free to check that out. But it's almost more eerie than if Hell on Earth had played out tonight. Mercatinos, I agree, he's very smart. Bear, I agree. Although I know some people in Israel who are very sympathetic to the Palestinians and very loving. J Dams, yes, patience is a virtue. True Bear, I love that. Goat emoji. So it's coming up on 5 a.m. You can see the sun is rising. The attacks are not over. The U.S. puts out an announcement when their attacks are over. I will wake up in the morning and either do a morning stream with you or update you tomorrow. But until that post goes out by CENTCOM saying this round of strikes is over, this is just an ominous series of developments. So it's morning time. There were jets over Tehran. There were a few explosions in the south of Iran. But wait till you hear this. Based on my initial read of the reports of the attacks, and I have no reason to believe that these were not coming in accurately. Based on that, this was the lightest night of strikes in Iran during the entire week. Does that sound right to you? Because it certainly doesn't to me. Indeed. God bless you too, Bear. Aloha indeed. Mercury Star, I think I agree. I agree. It's not right. Something's off. I just want to tell you all, no. Now I have to get some rest. I will be up. But you should be well aware that, one, CENTCOM has not put out an announcement announcing the end of the waves of attacks. Two, if they did right now, I can confirm this would be the lightest night of U.S. strikes in over a week. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you for watching Towel News. I did do 2 segments of coverage today, so let me get some rest. I need it. I'm tired. I'll put my phone alerts on, though. I will wake up. You know how this works. I will wake up at a moment's notice. Now, Francine is going to be thrilled. It's Pete Bunny Tao. This is her best friend. She loves him. He loves her. He's the channel mascot. Now, you might be saying, why is your channel mascot a stuffed bunny? Well, I don't really know. I think like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we were covering a case, a criminal case or something. And when someone in the chat was talking about like bunnies or a stuffed animal or something, or a pet that they had, we used to put pet pictures up all the time. Like people would send pictures of their dogs in, their cats. Not really goats at the time. We might have had like a rooster. I don't think we had any goats. But my point is, somebody sent in a picture, I think, of like a rabbit. And I was like, well, I don't have any pets. I had a hamster. And then I looked over onto my bookshelf and I noticed this giant stuffed bunny. And I was like, wait a minute. Why is that thing over there? This was like years ago. And I go over and I remember like 10 years ago, I got this thing for my mother for Bunny's Day, Mother's Day. And she abandoned him. Okay. So I took him in. Now he's huge. To be fair, he's like 3 feet tall. So where are you going to put him? So I took him in like 10 years ago. I adopted him. He's a stuffed bunny. And I put him over on this bookshelf where he sat for a very long time. And then, nobody really bothered him. So I went and grabbed him one day 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, look it. This is our channel mascot. So ever since then, he comes out at the end of stream. He says hello, him and his friend. Hello, water under the fridge. I'm glad to hear that the Great Lakes are still being adequately defended. But yeah, he comes out at the end of stream. He really likes goats. Now you might be saying, wait a minute, are we getting a goat video even though we didn't meet our goal? Yes. Look at the goats. Look at them. You all earned a bonus goat video. That's what we do on Towel News. Our chat goal is centered around goat videos, so I reward you all. It's not everyone gets a medal, but I reward you all even when we don't reach our goal. Kind of defeats the purpose, but who cares? It's a video of goats. Everybody loves goats. Alright, so this is the goats that were displaced from southern Lebanon on March 9, 2026. Look at those goats. Look at the dogs guarding the goats. Look at the baby goat. He's a little lame. He's limping a little bit. Now, here's the surprise. Wait till you see the horse with a baby goat on it. Yes, that's a horse with a baby goat. Everyone loves the goats. Yep. Now listen. If you don't love goats and the sounds of birds chirping in the morning, can you really call yourself an erudite consumer of modern information? Alright. We're coming up just on 10 p.m., which is exactly when I said I was going to go to bed. Because I have to do this interview with Melanie Little. Not have to. I have to do it in a way that is cogent. Oh, Miss Missy, my dear friend, it's so good to see you. Miss Missy said, thank you as always for your excellent coverage. Please look into Ayanna Presley's husband's $2 billion contract. I saw that from the state. Much love. All the best, Toweltown dwellers. I will absolutely do that, Miss Missy. And God bless you, Miss Missy. It is so good to see you. Also, I saw a story that a dead body was found in a property belonging to Rep. Presley in recent days. Miss Missy, you're so wonderful. Thank you so much for supporting Towel Channel. It's so great to see you. Jets Demas, it's so good to see you, my friend. Robin Hood says, regarding Epstein, I would recommend Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. I'm going to give that a read. Tal's always interested in reading material and song recommendations. 1 second. All right. Now, we're getting close to the end of our stream. Let's see if I can do this here. See if I can do this in, all of just 4 minutes. So, this is Tal News. Thank you all for your support. I'm supposed to do this, no one makes me, but I'm supposed to do it once every 2 hours. I forgot to do that. That's okay. I just want to give Miss Missy some love. I forgot to do that today, but that's entirely okay. Oh, Water Under the Fridge says, thanks, Grant Dogs. Continue your K Reno adventure with the song Blood Doctrine. Oh, you got it, my dear friend. God bless you, my dear friend and stalwart defender of the Great Lakes. I'm going to put that in my notepad right now. I have early morning music listening sessions. So K Reno, notice how I got that memorized. Blood Doctrine, I will look forward to that very much. I also like to take a little screenshot so I won't forget. There we go. So both Miss Missy and Water Under the Fridge coming in with the orange and green super chat combo. That's great. I love orange and green. They clash in some areas of the world, but I think they're wonderful. I think both of you are wonderful. God bless you both. Lavender and Rose. And yes, I did see that, Lavender and Rose. Channel 14, though, is known for reports that aren't always accurate. And tonight was certainly not a hell on earth. If anything, there was no attacks at all. There was maybe a few in the south. But now you might wake up to me like going live again at like 4 a.m, being like, okay, I was wrong. They played them. They've played us all. That anything can happen. But right now, no, we did not really hit them at all. Like at all. And I know a lot of you are monitoring this closely and are very confused. You're not the only ones. I mean, I'm looking right now at a lot of the accounts that monitor reports on the ground in Iran. They're all baffled, completely baffled, because we look for certain patterns, those of us who do this every single day, and the pattern we're looking for is classic Clippy. Yes, I'd be fascinated. I'm sure attorney Melanie Little has either heard about the war coverage. I don't know. She probably, she is very busy. I highly doubt she has time, but she might have watched it at some point. If she's interested in learning about it and asks about it, I'll be happy to tell her about it. Okay, but sorry, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to answer that question. Those of us who do this every day look for CENTCOM to announce the start of its attacks, and then we look for CENTCOM to announce the end of its attacks. They have not announced the end of their attacks. They hit maybe one target, maybe two, and I'm saying at most, and I would see it if they hit. Something is not right. You think somebody negotiated a ceasefire? Is that even possible? You think like the UAE came in and got them to stop firing? The only people that were trying to stop this last night was the UAE. Francine is classic Clippy, good point. Definitely try to remind me, my friend, especially if you're in the chat. I think it is important that people learn about the importance of coverage of the war, especially because on a night like tonight, say something happens overnight or in the morning, at least those of us who, or those of you who are watching, thank you for being with me on Towel News, will have known how odd this was. So whatever happens next, we'll at least have seen that this was completely out of the pattern. Completely. To the point where I'm actually like quite apprehensive about this. Now, Sean, I do agree that it could be the UAE. But yes, let me just go to bed. I'm tired. It's 10 p.m. I got a big interview tomorrow. Check out youtube.com/attorney Melanie Little, or it might be at Melanie Little, but either way, just Google youtube.com and then attorney Melanie Little. Great channel. I'm looking forward to that interview. You could become a towel or a cupcake or both, and I'll look forward to that. But you'll probably see me again before that in the morning on this channel, depending on it. I'm not even going to make a prediction. The person who has covered this war single-handedly from day one, that's it. We've reached the point where I can't tell you what's going to happen. And that's, I think, the point. Whatever's about to happen, each side, especially the U.S. and Israel, don't want Iran to know what's about to happen. So they're breaking the pattern, so there's no predictability to it. Oh, Classic Clippy, that's wonderful. I enjoyed that interview I did on Cancer Confidential. Okay, let me do my traditional outro. I forgot to do this. So if you like this news service, this is run by just me. So if you enjoyed it, if you benefited, if you'd like to support the stream, all of your super chats are so wonderful and appreciated. Thank you so much for supporting Towel News. It's coming up on 10:03 p.m. Eastern here at the very befuddled desk in Boston. I don't know what it is. War, peace, or something else right now. Dostoevsky couldn't write this, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you that. It's 4:03 a.m. in South Africa, 5:03 a.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 5:35 a.m. in a very, very confused Iranian capital of Tehran. Scott, it's so good to see you. The Senate is probably staying the president's hand. Recall they did vote to claw back the war power. Well, the House did. I don't know if the Senate would do that. And even if they did, he could just override it and they wouldn't have a veto-proof majority. Melinda, God bless you. Thank you so much for watching today. It was so great to spend some time with you. But yeah, if you want to support this stream, there's ways you can do so. You can find the donation information in the chat and in the stream description. If you want to keep me fed, help me with various things, you can do so by Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. This service is designed to educate, inform, and entertain. 20% entertainment to buffer your brain from trauma, insulate your brain from trauma. 40% information, 40% education. And if you like what you see here, the goal of it is to engender cogent public discourse, such as to ward off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. Please don't donate if it would be a burden. The point is, it's supposed to be for everyone to be able to access with no barriers whatsoever. But if you'd like to support what you see here, if you liked it, don't donate if it would be a burden. But yeah, there's ways to do so. The Cash App's $, Grant Smith Ellis, the Venmo's at Grant-E1, and the PayPal's paypal.me/Grant Ellis. You can say I'm tired because I probably said that twice. With that said, I'll also let you know that at the end of streams, we like to test my mental acuity, and then we also like to do a traditional outro. We like to test that mental acuity by doing the presidents in order. So shout out Triple A Bob. You're going to get JDAMS. It was great to see you. Francine, your dear friend, is here. Lavender and Rose, Classic Clippy. Great to see you all. But we like to do the presidents in order to test my waning mental acuity at this time of night. Let's do it. Shout out Triple A Bob. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, and then it's like William Henry Harrison. 10, I don't know. 11 and 12 are Tippecanoe and Tyler too, so that's going to be a Polk and a Tyler. Then it's going to be 13 is Millard Fillmore, and then it's going to be Pierce Buchanan, Lincoln Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. How about them apples? Even after a very long day. Francine, we will open with the Silverado song, my friend. I don't have the music thing open and it makes me do this whole sign in, but you will get your music song. I absolutely promise you. Actually, hold on, Francine. I got it. Hold on. I'm going to do this for you, my friend. But let me do my traditional outro before Francine gets her song before we go. if you benefited from this stream today, if you learned something today, if you liked what you heard today, please do consider paying me forward with a donation to, in particular, on a day like today, our service members or our vets or their families. These are people that put their lives on the line for us every day. I normally would mention donations to homeless veterans today, something you absolutely should do, but also consider, if you're in the United States in particular, a donation to charities that help our veterans and our service members serving currently and their families, both in a time of need, such as now or otherwise. That's one of the most important things I think we can do to make those on the front lines who are not necessarily making political decisions, but fighting on behalf of their country because they feel it's a duty. I think that's important to let them know they're supported. And if you'd like to do so, considering a donation to such veterans, service members, or their families is a great way to pay forward perhaps the knowledge you learned today or otherwise, the camaraderie you found in chat, etc. Now, say you like animals. Pete Bunny Towel's not an animal, he's a stuffed bunny. And you also like our service members or veterans. Have you considered donating to an animal shelter run by our service members or veterans, or that helps our service members or veterans? It's a great way to help service members, and it's a great way to help our furry friends. Now, if you can't find such an animal shelter and you like animals, Pete Bunny Towel, as I said, not an animal, but he does like animals, you may consider a donation to animal shelters in general. Great way to help our furry friends. If you're in the UK, please consider a donation to The Big Issue. Great way to help populations experiencing homelessness. It doesn't have to be a donation, though. It can be something as simple as smiling at someone on the street, reaching out to a friend or family member you haven't heard from in a while, or yes, even giving away 200 tomato plants like Francis Futrell did one time and having them designated honorary towels during the outro for everyone. Yes, in that way, may we pray the current realpolitik continues to change from one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our power to instead one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our capacity to engage in small acts of service and kindness rooted in unconditional love. There, living up to our Tau Eudaimonia or Super Bonum, our greatest guide in the ancient Greek or Latin, respectively, and in turn bring about a new digital epic defined by Aquarius, the water bearer, standing tall and carrying the towel. I believe it's possible because of you all. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for watching Towel News this evening. I hope to see you again soon. I'll play our traditional outro, but first, just a quick clip of Francine's favorite song. Bear saying that the U.S. is launching more strikes. I'm keeping an eye, Bear. Let's play a little bit of Francine's favorite song, ladies and gentlemen, Black Silverado. And then we'll do our traditional outro with the U.S. National Anthem, and we'll conclude the broadcast day.
Baby, let's see how fast this all Black Silverado goes.
This is Francine's favorite song.
And how many miles is it gonna take to get away from you? You're breaking on Cabo's heart. You got me drinking at a downtown bar. I'm overthinking, getting too damn drunk, and that's what I get for falling too in love. Remember that back road, baby. Remember them stars in the sky. Remember that tailgate we were sitting on when you looked me in the eye. I remember those back
Ketchum Island's blast reported.
Said we stay here and plant roots till you and I die. Guess I'm just learning how to let it go. Guess I'm just learning how to live.
Sorry, that's all we can listen to of the song, my dear friend Francine, because we just got a statement from the IRGC Khatim Al-Kebab headquarters. I'm going to play that for you before we get out of here. So that was Francine's favorite song. It's called Black Silverado, just a snippet. And before I conclude our broadcast day, I have to read out this statement from the IRGC that just came over the wires less than 3 minutes ago from Major General Ali Abdoli. Okay, here we go.
Conversation. IRGC Khatim Al-Anbiya Central Headquarters Commander Major General Ali Abdullahi threatened devastating response. Denny, U.S. savagery, pledging allegiance to Mojtaba Khamenei. Quite a long message, in case you want to read it fully. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Continuing the luminous path of the martyred leader of the Ummah and the revered martyrs of Islamic Iran and the Resistance Front, we once again pledge to the wise and insightful leader of the Islamic Revolution and the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamenei, may his shadow be prolonged, that we will adopt his clear and radiant message regarding the protection of the revolution's ideals, sacred unity, and national cohesion as a guiding principle within the armed forces. We will employ all our strength and capacity to further strengthen solidarity, unity, and integration among the armed forces, the people, and conscientious officials across the three branches of government to guarantee the interests of the Iranian nation, defend the rights of the people, and ensure national security. Adhering to the commands and strategies of our esteemed leader and commander, dearer to us than our own lives, we also remind the great Satan, the criminal, treacherous, and deceitful American enemy, that any greed, bullying, expansionism, and brutality will be met with a decisive and devastating response from the faithful, courageous, and powerful warriors in the armed forces. We will impose upon them costs heavier than those of the second and third imposed wars. The defensive power of our beloved country serves, on one hand, as a solid pillar for the peace and security of the proud and brave nation from south to north and from east to west of this honorable and vast land of Iran. On the other hand, it provides a platform for the dedicated officials of the country to serve and work for the welfare and prosperity of the honorable people. The enemy camp, following successive defeats in military warfare, has placed its hopes on creating divisions and discord between the people and officials. This is because the rout of the great Satan, criminal America, depends on internal cohesion. Serious confrontation with this diabolical conspiracy to disappoint the enemy is essential and necessary for all. With the help of Almighty God, the grace of the Imam of the age, may God hasten his reappearance, and under the guidance of our dear leader, we will safeguard the cohesion arising from the unprecedented and historic resurrection and the high standard set by the nation mobilized to bid farewell to the martyred Imam of the Ummah and the free people of the world, with all our strength and capacity. Major General Pilot Ali Abdullahi, Commander of Katham al-Anbiya Central Headquarters.
Okay, well, that's all I have for you. As a new wave of Iranian strikes American strikes on Iranian positions begin, I'm ending the broadcast day. I will wake up if something ridiculous happens, I promise. For now, this thus concludes your broadcast day on Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. God bless you all. On this day, as every day, may God protect the United States of America. May God protect our troops. May God protect the goats and all of the civilians out there. And may God protect you all. Thank you for watching. This concludes your broadcast day. Until we see each other again, sooner rather than later, I have no doubt. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and it's been an honor to spend this time with you all today, my friends, and my wonderful Tower friends. This was a tough day. This is an apprehensive feeling, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you that this is pleasant, but we will get through it one day at a time. As I mentioned, from a tired Grant Smith Ellis here in Boston, this thus concludes your broadcast day on Towel News.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good night to you, G Reaper. Good night, my friend Francine. Pete Bunny was so happy to see you. We absolutely will play your Black Silverado song very soon. Good night, Classic Clippy, and Anthony, and Robin Hood, and to all of you who watched, my dear friend Water Under the Fridge, and Miss Missy. I'm going to bed. God bless. Good night. I pray whatever this is resolves and peace returns. Thank you for that golden goat, Anthony. That was very precious. And I'm going to appreciate that as I lay my head down to sleep for a few hours. Good night. God bless you all.